Yo, what's happening? Welcome back to the 182 News Podcast. This is your host, Poppin' Curbs, and I appreciate you tuning in for another episode. I hope you all enjoyed the previous one where people sent in their favorite stories about Blink and their favorite collectibles and memories. That was a lot of fun for me. I really hope you enjoyed that, and I appreciate everybody sending in their clips as well as commenting on the post so that we could have fun with that one. Today's episode is pretty special to me. I hope you enjoy it. Bringing on longtime friend of mine in real life who really is the only hardcore Blink fan I know in real life. And as I've gotten to know Blink fans on the internet throughout the years, it's actually kind of rare to have a super hardcore Blink fan, somebody I can count on every single time they're nearby to be stoked to go to the shows. I know if I hit him up and say, hey, you want to fly across the country to go see Blink? He's totally down. This is my friend in real life. We go way back to high school. We worked together at the mall. So I thought it'd be cool to bring him on. Really, talking with him throughout the years gave me some confidence that I'd be able to shoot the shit about Blink on a podcast, to be honest. We would go weeks without talking to each other and then just pop on the phone and talk about Blink for like an hour and a half. So I hope you enjoyed this conversation. It's a long one. We go through some of our memories of the shows we've been to, along with all the good times and kind of thoughts on where all we've been and about current state of Blink and everything. So I hope you enjoy this. This is my Blink friend in real life, Matt. Here we go. All right, ladies and gentlemen, now joining us on the 182 News Podcast, my Blink friend in real life, Matt. Matt, what's up, dude?
What's up, buddy? How are you doing?
Doing all right, man. It's been a while since I've seen you. Stoked to have this little chat. And in fact, our conversations going way back gave me confidence that I could have a Blink podcast because you and I, we would go like a month without talking to each other. We'd call each other and we'd talk about Blink for like 2 fucking hours. So I figured if I can talk to you, surely I can talk into a microphone about something halfway interesting. So anyways,
Absolutely.
Stoked to have you on. You and I go way back. We're going to get into that. But just for the listeners, Matt is my buddy in real life. He is the really only like hardcore Blink fan that I know in real life. We've gone to plenty of shows together. We're going to get into those. And so I appreciate you taking the time to hop on. So I want to get started. As many plane rides and car rides as we've been on, I don't know that I know the answer to this, but how did you get into Blink in the first place?
Man, dude, probably junior high for me is when Enema came out. And, that kind of jumped me into Blink. I had, heard Damn It on the radio, loved Damn It. Any Blink fan loves Damn It, but Enema kind of started it for me. And then really, I became a die-hard Blink fan when Take Off Your Pants and Jacket came out. I mean, that's, to this day, that's my road trip CD. That's, a flashback to high school. I remember jamming into it. We had an open campus for lunch, and every single day, I'd go with my buddy Mike, and we just jammed to that CD, and that's when I really, really fell in love with Blink.
Gotcha. Yeah, it's funny. I mean, I know you love Takeoff as much as I do, and I knew that that was like your main one, but of all the times that we've been chilling or talked about Blink, like I don't think I knew when you very first got into them. So it was Enema. Is that accurate?
Yeah. I mean, like I said, Damn It was a cool song, but I wasn't like oh my God, I love Blink. I think I had the album, but they weren't like my go-to band or anything like that. But when Takeoff came out, that all changed radically.
Gotcha. Yeah. So I was trying to think back the other day of like when we first met. So I worked at a shoe store at the mall, and I remember like all of a sudden you, I guess, moved from Arizona. Is that right? Like, you were in high school and moved from Arizona?
Yep. I moved from Phoenix, and then I worked for a shoe store in the mall, Champs. I don't know if we can say names or not, but whatever. I worked for
If they want to
Champs, and
sponsor
then
us, just hit me up.
yeah, I got a shoe collection to go with my my time served. So, um, but no, I worked for Champs, and then Latoya, our boss, kind of brought me over to Finish Line,
Oh,
and that's
that's
where you and I
right.
hooked up. Yeah,
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 yeah. So I was like a punk kid just working at the mall, and I remember because you're a couple years older than me, and so I
right.
remember you come in. You're like the tallest friend I had ever met up at that point, big ass dude. You've got like all the coolest Jordans, and then I think you actually became my manager at one point. Is
Yeah,
that
no, I got
right?
hired. I got hired on as assistant, so
Oh,
I was
really?
I was always your boss.
Okay, so you're my boss from day one. Wow.
Yep.
That's crazy. So I was trying to think about this. Obviously, like we hung out on the weekends, partied and stuff, but I was
Oh
trying to
yeah.
think like when or how did we like realize that we were both like such hardcore Blink fans?
Dude, I think there was some Blink music on Finish Line Radio, and it sparked a
Really?
conversation between you and I. Yeah, I know they played "Not Now" for the longest time on that, and
When
which
you
is
just said that,
it's
that
one of
was the
my
one song that I would have guessed.
Yep,
Like for some reason, like I hadn't thought about that, but now that you mentioned that, I would have guessed it was Not Now playing
yep,
on like one of those Finish Line like shoe store. It just plays the same 25 songs on repeat.
yeah.
Huh.
We were lucky to have like a satellite thing, so unfortunately, it was more than 25 because I could have listened to that song 4 times a day, every single
Yeah.
day. But they had that, and then they had a couple of the Christmas songs they played during the holidays too, and they had that holiday playlist.
Wow. So at some
So
point that's playing in the shoe store and you and I realized that we both just love Blink-182. Is that your
yep, yep.
recollection?
That's kind of how it happened. We got to talking. We're like, dude, you know, I love Blink. Oh, I love Blink too. And then it was just like, oh man, that sucks that they're not together and they broke up. And
Yeah, yes.
I actually had tickets to go see them um, back before they broke up. Actually, the tickets purchased and everything, and they split up as a band, which was
Ah,
kind of a bummer. And I thought, you know, crushed, And then I
yeah.
remember going to see Plus 44 with you. And you and I looked at each other and said that this is the closest thing that Blink 182 will ever freaking see. I mean,
Yeah. Yeah, we'll
it
get to
was
that. We'll get
nuts.
to that. Yeah,
Okay,
totally.
okay.
So that's just crazy. I'm just trying to think of like me in high school. So this is like 2004 probably. This is like no, it's like 2005.
Yeah,
Like
probably.
right after the breakup, really.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, if not now was out, I mean that was like that launched with like their greatest hits or whatever.
yep, yep.
Okay. So I remember back then, and what's crazy about that is I was always into rock like more than you, I think, because I mean I
Yeah,
played
for sure.
guitar, I was in a band, all that good stuff. But you and I also love like hip hop. Like you and I love like gangster ass rap. So it's funny to me that of all the
We have a
songs,
nice palette of music.
yeah, we have a nice palette, but of like all the stuff that we were kind of both listening to, like you and I would listen to like Eminem and just
And
like
Lil
crazy
Wayne and
Lil
yep,
Wayne, Weezy,
yep.
all this stuff. But then we also like vibed hardcore on like pop punk. So that's
Yeah,
interesting. But I remember like at the time, you and I were like hardcore into Famous Stars and Straps. Like, I mean,
yeah,
you and I rocked that. I remember when it came to the mall and it was at
yep.
Pac Sun, and like on my lunch break, I would go down to Pac Sun and just try to cop like
See what
whatever
kind of T-shirts they had, right?
famous
Yeah,
shit
you
they
and I
had.
were like on board early on because it's
Yeah,
Travis. Why not?
totally, totally. And so I'm wondering, because it almost seems like I'm trying to think back of my fandom. Like I always loved Tom because I played guitar. Always loved Mark because he was kind of the more serious one, and that's kind of where I feel like my maturity is at most of the time. But you and I really early on, and I know you for sure, like we loved Travis like hardcore. Who
Oh, for
was your
sure,
favorite like back then when you first were getting into him?
dude. I don't know, man. Between Mark and Travis, it had to be.
Yeah.
And Tom had a special place in my heart too. Don't get me wrong, but
Yeah.
um, it, for me, it's always been Mark and it's always been Travis. And so many Blink fans. Tom was like the biggest person of the band, and that wasn't the case ever for me. And
Yeah, that's
don't get me
interesting.
wrong, Blink without Tom is different. Don't get me wrong, but
Yeah.
um, I loved all of them. But yeah, Travis. I mean, there was just something special about him. You listen to their music, and you hear those drums. There was just something special. You listen to Mark Tom and Travis show and how much faster he's drumming, how much
Yeah,
it's just insane. You can't help but just say, "What the hell, dude? This
I
dude's
know.
incredible."
I know. And I think the fact that like you and I listen to a bunch of rap and like you always had, the sickest car with like the dopest sound system. And so I remember you and I mean, dude, we would get in the car and we would just bang out some rap beats and then we'd just pop on some Blink and just listen to Travis go off, dude. And I think that's why you and I like were really on board with Trav early on. And I think it's because, I mean, you and I both have tattoos. We were both kind of into hip hop like Trav is. So maybe that's why we gravitated a little bit more towards him. You and I also have famous tats
Yeah,
early on.
we both have the family tattoo.
Yeah, mine's so old that it looks terrible at this
Yeah,
point.
I actually had mine first. Remember?
Yeah,
But
you
yeah,
did.
mine's on my arm. Needs probably a little bit of touching up, but it still looks pretty good.
Yeah, man. Okay. So obviously we meet, we're Blink fans. Blink is broken up at the time. And I remember you and I were both like so stoked when we heard of Plus 44. Um,
So stoked.
so stoked. I remember when it came out, like meeting you in the mall parking lot and you had all three colors of the
Oh, yep.
CD,
I had
like
to
ready to roll, man.
Yeah, I had to go to several different stores to find all three colors. But yeah, I remember talking to you at my apartment. You came over and I remember Angels and Airwaves dropping and listening to that first, and I said, "Oh my God, there's some big shoes to fill if Plus 44 is going to live up to this album." Because that Angels and Airwaves album was pretty dang good. That
Yeah.
first album they put out. So, and then Plus 44 came out, and I remember them getting some hate for like too much guitar or something like that. And I'm like, dude, this album is incredible. And you know, I know you feel the same way, but to this day, dude, that Plus 44 album is one of the best albums.
Dude,
I,
totally. And
I mean, front to back, I still listen to it. And I'm like, God, I wouldn't have been upset if Blink never got back together. Thank God they did, but I wouldn't have been upset with the Plus 44 going forward. Because
yeah.
I think lyrically that's Mark's masterpiece.
Yeah, dude, you already know I'm with you there 100%. And yeah, I remember like Angels came out. I had like a t-shirt, and Angels t-shirt I rocked at the time. I mean, I was stoked, obviously music from any of them. And I really
Sure.
liked We Don't Need to Whisper. There's several, I mean, The Adventure to this day, I mean, still gives me chills. But it was super dope to see what Mark and Travis were going to come out with, because they're 2/3 of Blink. So you got
Right.
Tom over here kind of going his way, and then you and I were both stoked to see what these two dudes do. Love that album to this day. In fact, I think I did a countdown, or maybe I just spilled the news on the last one. But uh, if I'm gonna get to my top, I guess maybe 5 albums of all time, and maybe I'll save this for an episode. But dude, Plus 44 might be number 2, to be honest. I mean, if you're talking
Oof.
Blink and all of sideband land, I mean, you and I are both on the same page here. Takeoff's number one,
Yeah,
no question.
Takeoff's number one for me, and it's not close.
Yeah,
It's tough. That would be
it's
really tough.
tough. It's
I
tough.
could I could see Plus 44 in my top three for sure. Maybe
Yeah,
even the number two spot.
I know, man. Yeah,
But
I mean, it's just the honesty and the lyrics. And I remember like you and I like listening to No It Isn't, and we were just like, God damn.
yeah, we heard the demo version. Remember we were talking about I'm like, oh
Yeah,
my God, I cannot wait to hear the rest of the song.
yeah, I
Like if
know.
this is just the demo, holy crap. And it was like
Totally.
a demo forever until they put out the
I
whole
know.
album or
I
the
know.
whole song.
It's yeah, and I mean they went through like different phases, and I had Christopher Holmes on who like produced that album and was
Yeah.
and actually Mark said recently that a lot of people don't realize how much credit Christopher Holmes should get for the Plus 44 album, because he was there. A lot of times it was just he and Mark in the studio knocking that out. Travis would come in, bang out his drums. But a lot of that was Mark and Christopher Holmes, who I've had on. But yeah, it's an incredible album, special place in my heart. It takes me back to like that time period. And so, you know, obviously Plus 44 is getting ready to go on tour. Now, I went off to college, broke college kid up at Indiana University. And I don't know if I'll ever forgive myself or you for this, but you go see Plus 44 without me
That
the
is the
first time, and it's okay.
only yeah, that's the only concert, Blink related, or any member of Blink that I've ever been to without you.
I know.
Crazy.
And the problem
And
is,
dude,
I don't
I
think I
wish you
even
could have
had my
gone.
car. I know. I don't think I had my car up at college at the
Dude,
time.
it was Mississippi Nights in St. Louis.
Ah,
Barker had his arm broken, so he played the whole concert one-handed. It was like a
mhm.
standing room only venue. It was so dope.
Ah,
So
man.
dope.
I know. So jealous of that. But needless to say, we saw them, and I'm pretty sure, for one, I'm pretty sure your grandma paid for our tickets, or at least my.
Yep.
So shout
She
out
bit
Matt's grandma because I was still broke college kid, and she got us pretty damn close to that stage.
VIP tickets too. Yeah.
Yeah, and so you and I are just so fucking stoked. And back to what you mentioned earlier, like I remember you and I had all these conversations like months leading up to it. We're like, dude, this is the closest we will ever see to
Yep.
Blink-182. This is the closest we will ever get. And so we actually borrow your grandma's like Navigator
Yep.
SUV.
Yep.
We drive up there. We see the plus 44 tour bus
Yeah.
on
This is
that
like a
like turn.
Yeah, it's like a 3.5 hour drive. We're just stoked. We're sitting there in VIP drinking,
Yeah. Get
just
all,
getting hyped for this concert.
get all the way there. We've been waiting for this moment for all our lives, literally.
Yeah,
And
literally.
the motherfucking show gets canceled.
Yep. And
Canceled.
yeah, dude, heartbroken. And the other thing
Ah,
that sucked was my cousin from Vegas was in town for that concert.
oh
Remember my
yeah.
So, he never got to
Forgot
see the
about
concert.
that.
He had to go back and didn't come back out for the
Ah.
reschedule. My sister ended up going with us.
And I think for some reason, like the reasoning behind that we got or found out somewhere is that like Travis and Pete Wentz, they were touring with Fall Out Boy on like I think it was that Honda Civic tour or whatever. But and correct me if I'm wrong here, but for some reason the memory in my head was that Travis and Pete, their plane didn't make it in time. Does that sound right to
Yeah,
you?
I think that is, but now that I'm thinking about that, like, was Travis flying at that point in time yet?
This was before his
This
accident.
was before the accident, so yeah,
Yeah.
that's exactly what happened.
Yeah.
Yeah, they missed the plane. Travis and Pete
Yeah.
Wentz missed their flight.
And that wasn't, and dude, I've gone back and like looked at the dates of that show, and I think he got in his accident like I want to say a couple months after we saw him, which is just fucking crazy, dude.
Yeah, no joke.
Uh, yeah, just so fucked up. But anyway, so we are like so fucking stoked. We get up there, we got our little VIP tickets on, and we turn around and drive our ass right the fuck back home to
Yeah,
Indiana,
we get
without
we get about 3 or 4 drinks in us, and it's just like we find out, and we're like
yeah.
just crushed.
Yeah, it was a late cancel. It was a very late
Oh yeah,
cancellation.
they had let people into the venue, and like I
Yeah,
said, we were in the VIP lounge, chilling. It's not
I
like we were
know.
waiting to get into the gates. They'd let people in and everything.
Yeah. And I remember you and I are like, if Pete Wentz didn't make it, who the fuck cares? Like, we don't care about Fall
Yeah,
Out Boy.
yeah. We don't care exactly. The
Yeah,
show
we
can
don't
go
care at all.
on.
Ah, man. So, anyways, we get home. Thankfully, it was rescheduled. And so we
Nice.
finally go. And I actually like this is back when cell phones didn't have reliable video at the time. And I remember like I brought my little digital camera and I actually have those videos. I found them not too long ago. And it's funny, like I have a clip of Mark playing No It Isn't, which is nuts. And there's a kid in front of me with an Atlanta Braves hat turned around, and the whole fucking time his head is like blocking Mark. Like I've never hated the Atlanta Braves any worse. But anyways, we go to the show, and honestly, like, I mean, a lot of people, I feel like didn't know who Plus 44 were.
Right.
I mean, because you and I remember, we were probably like 10 rows back. And I mean, they hit the stage and you and I are going like fucking nuts, dude. Like, I mean, absolutely nuts. And not that many people were going crazy until they played What's My Age Again and the Rock Show.
Yep.
And then they're like,
Yep.
oh, it's those guys. Yeah, there we
Yeah.
go. So do you remember anything like specific about that concert?
Um, I remember my sister getting hit in the head with a drumstick
I
from
remember that
Fall Out
too.
Boy, and her
Yep.
crying, and
It was to my right. I think I whiffed it and it just smoked her in the dome. That was my fault.
yeah. No, I remember that pretty vividly. Man, I remember taking pictures in front of like the little Honda Civic drop drop thing, and
Yeah.
that a few years later there was the Honda Civic tour with Blink, and Fall Out Boy opened for Blink instead of vice versa. So that was kind of cool. But yeah, I remember when they played "What's My Age Again," and just getting goosebumps because again, and you and me talked about that already, but on the way home, like, that was the closest thing to Blink that I've ever been a part of, like, live. Because
Yeah.
at Mississippi Nights, they didn't do any Blink songs. They literally did the Plus 44 album, and that was it. So
Yeah.
that
Early
that was the
on.
first time that was, holy crap, this is Blink. You know what I mean? Minus
Yeah.
Tom, but you know,
Yeah. And
I thought that
especially
was
like,
as close as it was ever going to get.
yeah, and especially a song like that. I mean, that's a Mark song, and then Rock
Oh,
Show's a Mark. I mean,
sure.
that's why they played them. And actually, initially, um, Mark and Travis were like, we're not going to play Blink stuff, and then they kind
Yeah,
of
yeah,
softened that stance, and obviously busted out a couple more. I remember, like, yeah, they played like damn near all the Plus 44. They may have played all of them at that show. I
oh
can't
yeah. I think
remember
they did.
the set list, but I remember. I think was that the one that Paul Wall opened?
Yeah,
Okay, so Paul
yeah.
Wall
Paul Wall was selling grills.
yeah, and so after his set, it was like there were like four bands, and after Paul Wall's set, he was like, "Yo, go come meet me by the merch booth or whatever." And I remember we went over there because I was like, "I'll fucking meet Paul Wall. He's famous family at the time. He was like cool with Travis or whatever." And I remember we go over there and we're standing in line, and he tried to sell us some grills. I was like, dude, I'm not buying your grill. But I bought a CD, and I think I still have like a signed Paul Wall CD
I
right
think I
next
have.
to me.
Yeah, I got one too. I think I gave it away, but
But I remember us asking him like, "Yo, what is Travis like backstage, or what's Travis like, or something like that?" And I remember he was like, "Oh, he's gonna be out here soon." And I remember you and I were like, "Oh my fucking God, is Travis about to walk out here?" And what sucks is they didn't. But it actually, like, now that I go back and I see people's pictures and just kind of look at the history, dude, Plus 44 would come out to their merch booth or like sign after shows like all the time.
yeah,
So that sucks that we didn't get to do that. But anyways, that's kind of my memories of that show. I mean, it was incredible. The closest, I mean, for years, that was the closest that I thought we would ever
yeah,
get to seeing Blink live, which is just
yep.
insane.
Me
So,
too.
okay, a couple years go by. I'm getting closer to being done with college. I'm in a different city, whatever. Obviously, we still keep in touch. Um, and then we get the word that Blink's getting back together. What was your thoughts then? I'm sure we talked. I don't recall it, but
So yeah,
that was
we
wild.
did. Yeah, I remember the announcement that they were gonna be on stage together at the Grammys, and I could give two shits about the Grammys. I
Yeah, me
remember
either.
watching I remember watching the Grammys that year just for that moment. Like, oh my God, you're gonna have all three members of Blink together again on the same stage. Like,
Yeah.
it was a moment I couldn't miss, and didn't disappoint. That's when they announced that they were gonna get together and they were gonna play music together again. And I remember standing up. I was at my dad's house. I remember standing up and just freaking out, like, holy shit, Blink 182 is getting back together. Like, never in a million years did I expect that,
Yeah.
especially after the well documented breakup. It didn't sound like they left on great terms, and
Right.
but thank goodness Travis got into a plane crash and it brought them all back together.
Yeah, it's like, well, the only good thing to come out of that. It's crazy
Yeah, yeah,
how the world works. I mean, yeah, I mean, totally. That wouldn't have happened without that, honestly. And it did
right.
bring them together. I mean, they've said this. This isn't breaking news or anything. So, yeah, I remember being stoked that the dudes were back together. I mean, I never would have thought it would happen. They
Oh,
were just
yeah.
so, dude, and like the music, I mean, Angels and Airwaves is so much different than like Plus 44 or like
Yep.
what Mark and Travis seemed into, but they've talked about that before, and we're about to get into it. So I remember though the first time that they were on, I think it was Jay Leno. Pretty sure it was Jay Leno.
Yep.
And I remember you and I were like stoked that they're back together, and we couldn't wait to hear them. And I think in everybody's heads, maybe they just pick right back up where they left off with Untitled. And a lot of time had passed. Tom had done his Angels and Airwaves thing, 2 albums at that point. And so they're on Jay Leno and they're doing, I'll never forget this, man. They're doing all the small things. And Tom is like mature Angels and Airwaves Tom now. He's not like punk kid, lip ring, backwards hat. And I remember being so stoked, and they hit the stage, and then Tom comes in, and I think I've actually done this impression on a previous podcast, but Tom comes in, all the small things. And I was like, oh no. Oh, he brought his Angels voice back to Blink.
Yeah, I couldn't believe it. Like I could not fathom hearing, Angels Tom
Yeah.
singing Blink. Like I thought, you know, Tom would sing Blink songs, Blink ways, and Angel songs, Angels waves.
Yeah, I know.
And dude, for the longest time, for months, dude, and he got blown up on the internet on that stuff. But like everybody's like, dude, just quit whining. You cannot whine Blink songs. It just doesn't go. Your Angels things sound great when you sing it with Angels, but you can't sing an Angels voice with a Blink song, especially a punk song like that.
I know, and it's tough. Like, well, it's really selfish of us to be like, Tom, you should sing it how we want you
Right,
to
right. I
sing
mean,
it. And the thing
who are we
is,
to tell the artist the way to do something?
right, right. But it was just so drastically different. I mean, it's just, and his voice had changed, man, like
Sure.
significantly. And there's YouTube videos of Tom's voice change. And I mean, this happens with adult men. It just happens. But it was just so significant. And I'm like, okay, I mean, I'm glad Blink is back, but I mean, it struck me as odd. And
Oh yeah, it was strange. It was very strange.
and like I said, I mean, it should just be Tom and whatever he wants to do. But it was significant. Like you said, people talked about it. It was different. So I was curious to see, what were they gonna come up with, because so much time had already passed. And really, I mean, the same thing you can be said today. I genuinely don't. I mean, I know Tom is like insanely proud of Blink and those songs and what it's done for him and his life and his family. But I think he was just already over those songs at that time, and
Yeah.
especially now. I mean, that was like what, 10 years later. Now 20 years, 21 years later. I mean, I don't know. Tom is kind of he's one of those artists that everything's kind of about like feel and emotion and stuff like that. And I just don't think if he's not in it 100%, I think it kind of shows. And
Absolutely shows. Yeah.
that performance, I just found the full clip of that. For years, I could not find that clip. And people who saw it know exactly what I'm talking about. But when I would bring this up to random Blink fans or whatever, they'd be like, oh, I don't remember that. And I just found the full version of this like literally a couple months ago, and it's exactly as I remember it. Um,
Yeah.
so things take a while. He was actually still working on New Angels and Airwave stuff. They were trying to get in the studio. Again, previous podcast guest Christopher Holmes worked with them on Neighborhoods. If you guys haven't listened to that, seriously, go back and listen to it. It's absolutely insane. Chris was literally driving hard drives back and forth
Back and forth to two studios. Yeah.
between Tom's studio in San Diego and Mark and Travis's in LA. So they're trying to make Blink work. It takes a lot longer to come out than we thought. But I remember we get Hearts All Gone, we get Up All Night, and you and I were hyped, dude.
Dude, I still love Up All Night.
I do
Um,
too.
yeah, Up All Night's a great song. Hearts All Gone was awesome. After Midnight's probably my favorite song off that album, which is a predominantly Tom song. I mean,
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, and to this day, like, I didn't realize that a lot of people don't like Up All Night. I mean, dude, when that song came out, I'm like, this is a banger. This is a perfect combination of like where all these dudes are at right now with their careers. And the irony there is that riff for Up All Night was actually from the Untitled sessions. They actually used it
yeah,
later on,
I remember you telling me about that.
which is pretty wild. But and actually, I saw Mark say recently that he loves Up All Night, and he was actually bummed that it didn't do well didn't do better at radio, which is interesting. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, when those songs came out, dude, Hearts All Gone is a fucking banger. I mean, honestly, as Neighborhoods ages, that might be my favorite song on Neighborhoods. But you and I, a couple weeks prior to the Neighborhoods dropped, and I think songs were leaking, and you and I had definitely heard
Oh yeah.
some of Neighborhoods, if not all of it prior. But I think you and I saw Neighborhoods or saw Blink live like 2 or 3 weeks before Neighborhoods drops for the first time ever. And so it took us all these years, and we were finally able to see our favorite band in the world live. What do you remember about that?
It was blurted. Yeah. I was in awe. I couldn't believe it finally happened.
Yeah.
And just an adrenaline rush like nothing.
Yeah.
Like nothing else. Like when they hit the stage and Feeling This came on, it was just like, are you kidding me? Like
I know. Like this is it.
Just just nothing but energy going through my entire body, dude. It was insane. It was
I
insane.
know. Like I never thought I would see those three dudes on stage. And so to see them, and we weren't even particularly close. We weren't
No,
in the
that one we
bitter.
weren't, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Keep in mind we were still very poor.
Yeah.
You
Still
know,
very poor.
gra-
Your
gra-
grandma.
grandma didn't buy these tickets.
Okay, I was gonna
So
say she may have even had to pay for those for the $60 ones.
right.
Yeah, I remember like the whole Neighborhoods era. Like it has a special place in my heart because Blink was back, man. Like our favorite band in the world was back. We were finally able to see them live. I remember just being blown away by the show. I loved the stage with like the Neighborhoods, like house backdrops and shit. Travis was doing like he was really
His
starting to
drum
get into
solo.
yeah, he was
He,
starting to get into his beats and he was doing
yeah.
that Give the Drummer Some. Um, so we finally saw Blink live. It was sick. I think Tom gave away his guitar at the end of that show. Do you remember that?
I don't. I
Okay,
don't
I
remember that
feel
at
like I
all.
remember him handing out his guitar, which is just fucking crazy.
Disgusting.
Yeah. So okay, obviously we're stoked. We see Blink live for the first time ever, and then Neighborhoods drops out a couple weeks later. So this is a great little month for us. What did you think about Neighborhoods when it dropped?
Dude, at the time I just it was Blink, so I loved it. Like I was so yearning for a Blink album. It'd been so long that, they could have dropped anything and I would have been stoked about it, you
Yeah,
know. But, it was different. Um, it was different, but it was still had some really good songs on that album.
yeah. There's a lot.
So, like
It's
some of the guitar, like Natives is amazing.
oh yeah,
Like,
yeah, dude. It's like I don't know, like in hindsight, like with history able to be able to look back at, to me it feels to this day like a little bit disjointed. Like to me, there's at the time I didn't realize this, and I'm a lot more of a Blink nerd now than I was
right,
back then. I mean, hardcore fan back then. And so I'm like, okay, we've got new music from Blink. This is sick. There's songs that I like more than others. No big deal. But now
sure,
that I
sure.
look back, like there's clear Mark songs, there's clear Tom
Uh-huh.
songs, and there's clear songs that are like more along the lines of Angels and Airwaves, whereas there's stuff that could
Mhm.
probably be on a Plus 44 album if you really wanted to. So I think a lot of people actually say this album is aged better. To me, I actually kind of feel that it's aged a little bit worse. How do you kind of grade it at this point?
I agree. Going back, you can, like I said, there's several songs on there that I can get behind and love. But, going back, being a big Blink fan, you can hear that like you said, it's almost forced. Like it's not, it's almost unnatural between the two. I don't think you
Yeah.
had, and with all the stuff coming out afterwards about it and stuff like that. I mean, you can piece it together and hear that now. But even then, you can hear it wasn't quite, untitled Blink.
Yeah.
They changed drastically.
Yeah, totally. And I mean, all things considered, I still felt that at that point in time, like it was a pretty good representation of where all three of them were
Oh,
artistically.
sure,
I mean,
absolutely.
Travis kills it no matter what. It doesn't matter there. Mark, I mean, his songs are great. Hearts All Gone, absolute banger. That's one that, like, I feel like that could have been a plus 44 song if you really wanted to. Up All Night, I feel was a really good representation of like both of them. A lot of people have a soft spot for Kaleidoscope.
Yeah, I like
It's
Kaleidoscope, Wishing Well.
Yeah,
Dude.
Wishing Well is definitely like a classic from that, but
Hmm.
um, you get into some like, Fighting the Gravity is definitely I love that song. A lot of people shit on that song, but I think it slaps, but that's definitely like a Mark experimental. Then you get like Even If She Falls, or some of the more Tom centric
Oh
ones
yeah.
that are over kind of in his realm, and there's just not a ton where I feel like they meet in that happy middle ground. And I don't know if that was just because they were in separate studios, or Tom was just so far into his kind of space AVA sounding type of realm, and Mark and Travis wanted to be over here. But anyways, we got new Blink. It's out. I still appreciate that album. My favorite band in the world was back. I
Oh,
still listen to
absolutely.
it occasionally, but it's not at the top for me. I'll be honest. So Neighborhoods launches, Blink's back. Uh, all of a sudden in 2013, there is the 10-year reunion of the Untitled album. Here we are in Indiana, little nerds on the Blink 182 mailing list. And I can't remember if you saw it first or if I
No,
saw it
no, that
first.
was you. You called me. I remember it specifically. You called me and
Okay.
said, "Dude, I just got this."
So I see an email that says Blink 182 are getting ready to celebrate the 10th anniversary of the Untitled album by playing the full album front to back nights in LA at the Hollywood Palladium. Now, mind you, at this point, I really hadn't even like flown a ton, certainly not like a seasoned traveler. I had never been to California. Um, and I remember, you and I started talking about this, and then we started looking at the prices. And
Dude,
I didn't have like a bunch of money at this point or anything. And I was just like, dude, we got to do this.
yeah, I think literally that conversation, you called me that night and said, "Dude, I just got this email." And we started talking about it, like, "Dude, that would be so cool if we could go." And we're like, I literally think the whole progression of that conversation was probably 2.5 hours, to the point where, dude, this is happening, to, dude, we're fucking going. I mean, I think we looked at plane tickets that night. We looked at
Yeah.
VIP packages, and we made up our minds that night that this was happening. We weren't going to miss out on this.
Yeah, it went quick because like I think the email I got, like VIP tickets were like about to go on sale, and it was like $100 each, but it included like sound check, and then a ticket to the show. So you and I think we secured the tickets, and then like we're like, fuck, well now we gotta secure the flight. And so
Yeah,
I think we flew out of Nashville at like 4 in the morning or something
yeah.
stupid. And so you and I are taking a trip to LA to go see Blink
To
182
Hollywood. Yep.
in at the Hollywood Palladium, which is crazy. And so I remember getting there, and obviously California, the weather's amazing. We were staying in some like janky ass hotel. I
Oh
don't even know
yeah.
where it was, or or what it
It,
was.
we found the closest hotel we could that was reasonable, that we could walk to it, because we didn't want to rent a car or anything like that.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, dude, I would have a panic attack driving in LA. There's no fucking way. I almost had a panic attack driving by myself in the snow today. Could you imagine doing that with tons of people around? Holy
I would
shit.
have been fine. The group in
Ah,
Phoenix.
I was like, oh my God, there's a car within 200 yards. This is my stop sign. I can't stop.
Uh,
Ah.
California
Anyways,
stops, they don't stop.
so we make it out there. We don't get robbed in the hotel. And dude, we were cutting it close. Like, dude, the our flight, I mean, we were in California like 2 days, like two and a half
Yeah.
days.
Yeah, we were in California literally for, we got in that day of the concert, and we left, the morning after the second concert. So
Yeah, the
we
morning
weren't
after.
there long.
So you and I, dude, I think we got into LA. We drove like 2.5 hours to Nashville, Tennessee to catch a flight at like 5 a.m. straight to LA. So, or I don't know if it was straight. Anyways, by the
No,
time
I
we
think
got
there
in
was a
LA,
layover. I think there was a
yeah.
layover in Dallas.
Yeah. And so by the time we get to LA, it was like 3 or 4 in the fucking afternoon by the time we get to our hotel. And we had to be at the sound check at like 5 or something. I mean, it was quick, dude. So we get there, throw our shit down, and it's like it's go time, man. So we walk down to the Hollywood Palladium. I'm just like in awe. And the thing that always to this day, like the image that I have of LA in my head is like beautiful skyscrapers, like the most amazing skyscrapers and buildings and weather and everything that I've ever seen. And then you look down and there would be like 25 crackheads like sleeping underneath it. And
Right.
I'm like, this
Homeless
is
people everywhere.
yeah, like you would see like super like attractive people walking around, and then like some crazy crackhead would walk by us like just like mumbling to themselves. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is such a wild like juxtaposition, I suppose. So, anyways, we walk over to the Palladium, which is a legendary venue. And dude, it's like so small. I mean, I remember I'm just like, oh my gosh, this is so itty bitty. And we are walking in the parking lot, and I remember we see a black badass truck that
Yep.
has famous stars and straps, like 22-inch dubs on it, like engraved. And Travis motherfucking Barker just pulls up to the Blink show.
Yep. Well, before
Ah,
that, I don't know if you remember before that happened. We were walking up and we saw the famous bus, and the guy stopped and gave us free T-shirts. Do you remember
oh yeah,
that?
yeah, yeah. Yes, I do. I do. And we showed him our famous tats.
Yeah, yeah, we had our famous tats. He's like, "Oh, that's awesome, man. Hold on, hang tight." And he went in the truck and gave us free T-shirts, and that was
Yeah.
dope. So, I mean, really, that whole day started off perfect.
Dude, it started off just so sick. And so I remember we're just sitting there like, oh my God, Travis just fucking pulled up to this concert. Like it's no big deal.
Yeah,
I mean,
and I don't
literally,
think I don't think a whole bunch of people realized. I think it was just you and
no.
I who realized it was him because we saw the wheels.
Yeah,
We're like,
yeah,
dude, that
no.
has to be Barker.
There weren't that many people in line. Like that was actually a pretty small, like VIP type of thing. And you and I, we probably were a tad bit early just to get out and explore.
Right.
But I mean, there were maybe like 25 people standing in line. And yeah, I don't think maybe more than like 3 or 4 of us were like, holy fuck, that was Travis. He just like walked in or just pulled in like it was no big deal.
Yeah, no
So
big deal.
and not only does he just pull in like it's no big deal, he goes and parks. I mean, yeah, he parked pretty close to the back of the building, but he's in like the general parking lot. And so you and I, we walk and we're standing. I still have pictures on my phone. We have
Uh-huh.
pictures of this fucking badass truck, and we're just chilling there for a minute. We're like, dude, what if he comes back out to like, maybe he forgot his phone in his car or something. Like, we're just gonna hang out here and see if we can run into Travis Barker. I mean, it was that low key. Like, dude, he like literally anybody could just walk up and just touch his car.
Mhm.
So he doesn't come. We realize nobody's coming out. We got to go get back in line. And so we go in for the sound check. Now this is obviously my first Blink sound check. I'm pretty sure it's yours as well. And we're chilling there. And I think they did like a little Q&A, like the and I don't know which station it was. Do you remember that?
Yeah, I do because you asked a stupid question and
Okay.
answered it.
You had to like email your questions in ahead of time. And I was trying to think of what to ask, and I thought it would be funny, and I wanted to ask. I said, "Did anybody's grandpa really eat 7 fucking hot dogs and shit in his pants?" Okay, I thought that was funny. So you and I are in there, and Mark, Travis, Tom walk out, and we're like in awe. I mean, this is the closest we've ever been to them, and it literally feels like we're just like hanging out with them in their practice studio or something. They come
Oh
out
yeah, I
like,
got
"Go
I got
ahead."
videos of them saying, we're actually a band and we actually have to perform sound check because, other
Yeah,
bands.
okay. I've been meaning to ask you about this because um, my recollection of that, and I recall Mark saying that because
Uh-huh.
people just started yelling out songs, like they were just yelling out songs to play. And I remember he was like, "We're not monkeys." He was like, "We actually need to practice." But I got the vibe that Mark like wasn't in the best mood there.
Uh-uh. He was not in a good mood.
Yeah.
There was something off that night. Um, yeah, he was not in a great mood that day. Now,
Okay.
granted, sound check was pretty dope because if you recall, they played Not Now, which was incredible.
They also played, and we went to two, so I'm trying to remember which one is which. But at one of them they played Natives, which
Uh-huh.
was like super rare to get because I don't know if they actually even ended up playing that live. That may be one of the few times they even played it. And then on another one they played an old Dude Ranch song, Dick Lips,
Yep.
which was crazy for them all to bust out. But that's interesting that you picked up on that from Mark too, because this is the first time that like we've actually been close. Felt like we're in the room having a conversation with them almost. And so I was actually really surprised that Mark was not like his giddy, happy self. Like he almost seemed like kind of pissed. And I guess maybe in hindsight, because he had that comment of like, we actually need to practice. So in hindsight, I'm
Yeah.
almost wondering if like, between like Tom and them, maybe if they like couldn't even fucking get in the same room to practice for these shows.
I don't know. I think you and I actually chalked it up as, this is the first time they're playing the concert in the Palladium, so
Yeah.
they probably really need to get the sound check done because they probably haven't had a whole lot of setting up to do. And the next night was very very different.
Yeah.
The next night when we saw it for sound check, it was a lot more easygoing, and I think they had everything dialed in at that point in time.
Yeah.
They knew and they were ready for the concert. But
So they come
yeah,
out.
he was he was not his typical self that first night
He was a
for
little
sure.
short, a little short. Maybe Tom, or I don't know who. I mean, who knows? He could have just had a bad day, slept in
Yep.
late. Who knows? But that's interesting that you picked up on that as well. So, anyways, they come out, they say hey, and then this little radio DJ, and I don't know if it was like, I'm sure it was like 91X or one of the main stations out there. I don't know. He gets up and he starts reading out these questions that are sent in. And so I mean, everybody probably submitted one. So I didn't know if they were going to get to mine. And they only did like 10 or so. I don't think they did all of them. And so I remember he goes, all right, all right, this one comes from Ryan from Indiana. Ryan, where are you at? And I raised my hand and we were right in front of Mark. I raised my hand. I'm like, yeah. Mark like looks at me. So I'm like, okay, he knows who said this. He knows who I am. Um, and I remember the dude was like, all right, Ryan wants to know, did anybody's grandpa eat 7 fucking hot dogs and shit in his pants? And Mark just looked around and just goes, no, and just kind of shook his head.
Yeah.
And I
He gave
remember I was
like a
like,
one.
yeah, I was like, oh man, like that was not a good question nor response.
He answered with one question, and I just remember like,
I was
okay,
like,
like
oh, alrighty then. I guess I should have asked something a little more serious. Um, yeah, so
oh, looking
anyways,
back, it's hysterical.
it's hysterical. And I mean, we've been to so many sound checks since then that he's not like that at all
Oh
uh,
no, dude.
most of the time. Um, but so they play the two songs, which sound checks, man, are just my favorite thing in the world, dude. It's so dope.
Yeah.
Just so dope. So we see the sound check. Then we have to go get back out in line. And I think they let us in early, which was nice.
They let us
Uh,
get to the front of the line. They didn't let us in early. They just let us get into, the
okay,
25
just a,
people, whoever got into the sound check
yeah,
got to get in front of the line. We thought that was the stupidest thing in the world, that we had to leave the venue and then
yeah, to
go
come right
back
back
in.
in.
Like we couldn't just stay, that was dumb.
Yeah. So was this the night that we were like dedicated to being fully up front, or was this the one where we hung
No,
back a little bit?
that was the one where we hung back a little bit. The second night we dedicated to just
Okay.
sticking on that rail and not moving.
So we hang back and Blink comes on and they proceed to just absolutely shred Untitled front to back. And
Yeah.
then, dude, the encore is like Not Now and like Damn It. Just fucking insane set. And dude, that
Hmm.
crowd, I mean, was gnarly.
Was insane. It was
Absolutely
insane.
insane. I can't remember if it was the first night or it may
It was
have
the
been
first night. It was the
when we
first
went up
night.
top.
Oh yeah, yeah, that was the first night too. But
Okay.
a
There was at
special
one.
thing happened the first night.
Oh, I know what we're about. Yeah, I know. We'll get into that. But I remember like the crowd was so fucking hot and like sweaty and like
Oh, dude, I was soaked.
pushed up
My
against. I mean,
whole
we were soaked. And at one point, I remember like the Palladium has a top layer that's like kind of a big ring. It's very small. And I remember at one point, like we had to go up there and just like cool off for a minute because it was just that intense.
Mhm.
Fucking
Yeah.
nuts.
Don't get this twisted. You know, the Blink fans that are listening. You know, we had every intentions of being front and center, and we knew the next night that it was going to be a fight the entire concert to stay on that rail and to freaking fight off people trying to get in front of you and stuff like that. So we made the decision to to hang back and try to take it all in the first night rather than trying
Yeah.
to box people to fight for position in a mosh pit. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
People don't understand, maybe some do, but people don't understand the dedication required to get that front row fucking rail spot. And the thing is if you're second row or third row, it's all ruined and it sucks. You have to get that
Yep.
fucking rail because you have
Yep.
something to hold on to and
Your
nobody
third
in
row
front of
could
you.
turn to your third row can turn to 15th row real quick.
Yeah, real quick. And dude, it's hard. For one, like you can't pee. You can't want anything to drink nor eat.
Right.
And you've got to hold your spot for hours before the show typically. So it's the struggle is real. So we see Blink in LA. I mean, play Untitled front to back just absolutely blew my mind.
Hmm.
Um, and I remember just thinking like, I don't know how it gets any better than this. I really
Yeah,
don't.
yeah. I mean,
Uh,
just the whole atmosphere, like you said, being in LA and that
yeah.
small venue. I mean, it was incredible. Still, probably two of the best concerts of my entire life, hands
Yeah,
down.
definitely. Yeah. I mean, I was gonna probably ask you that towards the end, but dude, I mean, to this day, those Untitled shows are easily my favorite Blink shows I've ever been to. So after the show, you and I, we have the great secret of where Travis parked. So we have nothing to do. We're just hanging out outside, and I remember just walking out back, and there was like 5 or 10 people just like chilling by his car. And so, wait, hang on. Is this
Yeah,
the one?
yeah.
Oh
Uh
my gosh. Okay.
huh. You're leaving out. I was
I
like,
got
dude, you're leaving out a
I got to back
huge
up a tad
part.
because I thought this was on night
No, that's
two, but you're right.
nope.
It's night one
It was the
because of
first
what you
night.
got done to it. Okay.
Yep.
So at some point during the show, you and I get separated.
Yeah,
And
you had to go pee, if I remember correctly.
I always have to go pee. It's just, it's honestly insane. Like if I have an hour and a half work meeting, I'm fucked. Like I have to pee like 7 times. uh, so we get separated, and I didn't find you. I couldn't find you, and so the show's over, and just incredible show, confetti, the whole 9 yards. And I'm looking around for you because I'm in fucking LA. My phone's probably dead. I don't know where the
Hmm.
hell I'm at. I don't know how to get back to the hotel. And so I'm hoping that I see you in the pit or find you out front. And all of a sudden I look over and I just see you like running towards me, just like with the biggest eyes. And I'm like, oh, there he is. What's up, dude? You're like, let's go. I'm like,
I was like,
what?
dude, we gotta go.
You're
We
like,
gotta go
dude,
now.
you're like, we gotta go now. I'm like, what the fuck did you like? Did you steal Tom's guitar? Like, what is the rush here? And you kind of point to your arm, and you've got a fucking drumstick. You're like, dude, I got Travis's fucking drumstick. We gotta go. We gotta get out of here, like right now. What is your recollection of this?
Bro, I just remember you having to use the bathroom, and it was like right towards the end of the concert, and you were gone for like 15 minutes, and you were dying like 4 songs in, and you held it for so long. You're like, dude, I finally gotta go. Um, and I'm like, are you serious? And you're like, dude, I got to. So yeah, I remember the end of the concert, and he gets done playing and literally throws his drumsticks into the crowd. And I shit you not, bro, it came right at me, and I literally jumped as high as I could and snagged that motherfucker right out of the air. Could not believe it. I'm talking like a Odell Beckham ridiculous catch that would never happen again in my entire life.
I'm picturing this in like slow motion, like Air Bud, like the dog, like jumping through the air.
Dude, I jumped, I caught that thing, and I remember grabbing it and holding it as hard as I could, and I tucked it underneath like the length of my arm and held it kind of close to my body and just took off to the back.
Did you have to fight anybody for it?
No, it was clean. I mean, nobody even came close to catching it. It was all me. I came down with it clean. I think a couple people realized I had it, but at that point, I was turning and I was darting. I'm like, I'm in LA. These are some, seeing what we saw with all the freaking bums and stuff. Like, who knows? I can get mugged for this thing.
That's funny. So this is when you're like dipping out of the pit, and you probably see me.
I'm dipping out, running back, saying, "Oh God!" And then luckily you were right there. You're like, "Dude, what's up, man?" I'm like, "No, we gotta go. We gotta go. We gotta go. We gotta go.
We gotta go
You're
now."
You're like, "What do you mean we gotta go? What's wrong?" And you're like, I'm like, I caught Travis's drumstick. We got to get out of here. You're like, no way. Let me see it. I was like, I'll let you see it when we get the hell out of here. Let's go.
Yeah, and I remember like you and I mean, I felt like we just like robbed a bank and like had a target on our heads or something, man.
Yeah.
Like we were like so sketched out, like running. Like, we're gonna get the fuck out of here before somebody jumps us for this drumstick. That's funny, dude. So I mean,
it wasn't one of the, he keeps a whole bunch of drumsticks. This was one that he'd like played with. It's been used like crazy.
So he ended.
So it wasn't one of the it wasn't one of the extra ones that he was just tossing out, or the drum tech comes out and tosses out.
Wow.
This was like just got done playing.
So we go. I remember we make it outside, and so you've got Travis's drumstick that he just finished the set with.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we happen to know where Travis parked. And, we're in LA. We don't have shit to do. We don't know where we are. We might as well just go hang out in the parking lot like some punk kids for a few minutes. Maybe we get lucky, get to say what up to our favorite drummer in the whole world. I remember walking over there, and there was only like, I want to say like 10 people. And most of them were like autograph hounds. Do you remember that?
Yeah, there was like 3 or 4 of us that were like fans, and then like 7 or 8 other people that were like had like 14 8x10s. Like,
I was like, what the
essentially
fuck?
just doing it to get it signed.
So we stand there, and there was just a little group of us just like basically chilling like by where they where Travis parked, which is super creepy when you think about it, but it comes with the territory. It's not the first time someone's waited after a show for an autograph. And we were waiting a long time, dude. I remember we were waiting a long time, and there was people who gave up and like who left, but we were just kind of, I think, chatting it up with some of the fans who were at the show. So it was cool, and the weather's nice in LA, so it's all good. We had nowhere to be. And then all of a sudden, I remember the door opens, and this door is like 10 feet away from us. This is literally like a weird small parking lot in the back of Palladium. And Travis walks out, holding his daughter, who's sleeping on his shoulder. And everybody was like pretty courteous, like, "What up, Trav? How you doing?" And he like kind of waved. He's like, "What's up, guys?" And no, dude, did Mark come out before him or after?
I don't remember Mark coming. I don't remember seeing Mark that night. Was it that night or the next night we saw Mark?
Mark came out and waved and like hopped in the back of a Prius and dipped out.
Yep, you're right.
Was that? But I don't know if that was before or after Travis. I don't know. Remember. It doesn't matter. But anyways, so Travis is walking out, and we've been waiting a long time, and I was just like, oh man, he's got his daughter's asleep, man. Like he's not gonna come over here. Like
passed out.
It's late. She's asleep. I think his son was with them, and so he literally is just like putting them in the back of the car, like a dad, man. It's what he's doing at the end of his shift. And I did not think he was gonna come over. And in fact, he opened up the front, and I was like, oh, he's out. And we kind of like we're just preparing for it, like say peace out or whatever. And he like put his keys in, and then all of a sudden just fucking walks right towards us. And there was like a security dude with them who was just like, line up one at a time, keep it cool. And Travis comes over, and dude, I'm like fucking freaking out, dude. Like I don't even know, because I don't even know like what to have him sign. We don't have Sharpies, we don't have anything. And dude, he stood there and he signed everybody's fucking autograph. And you got your played drumstick signed by Travis that night. I mean,
Yeah.
just insane,
Yep.
dude.
Just incredible. Like seriously, probably one of the best nights of my life. Just
Yeah.
who would have thought? I would have caught his drumstick, and then B, I would have had the chance to actually see him and him sign it.
Yeah. Yeah. I've got like a couple pictures of him, as like you got your shit signed and then you kind of stood back and watched. I've got some cool pictures of that. And then I remember like you and we were starving. Like and I think we walked like we found like a pizza place that was open at like 1 a.m. And I remember just sitting there and being like, we were just staring at your drumstick. And we were just
Yeah.
like, oh my God, like how could this get any fucking
Yep.
better? Like,
We
dude,
were just like, did this night just happen? Is this reality? Are we really in freaking LA? Just saw Blink, just met him. You got your VIP pass signed by him.
yeah,
I
dude, like
caught the drumstick and got it signed. It was insane.
we had
It was
picks.
absolutely insane.
We got guitar picks from Mark
Hmm.
and Tom.
Hmm.
Yeah, and like I remember just like thinking, dude, we were in Indiana this morning.
Right.
We were in bumfuck Indiana this morning, and here we are in LA. We just saw Blink play Untitled front to back, met Travis, and like saw the sound check and everything. And so, as insane as that night was, we got to do it all again the next day, which is like the craziest fucking thing.
Yep. Yep. Got picks again the next night, and the whole concert right from the rail, man. That was insane.
Yes.
I still have a video on my phone of the opening. I got videos of sound check, and I got videos of the lights going black, and then Mark literally hopping right in front of us to
Ah,
film this.
man. I don't know if I've seen that. You need to drop that in our little shared photo album.
Oh, for sure.
Um, yeah, so I remember the next day. The thing I remember a lot about that next day is my back was fucked. And I don't, and I think like I wore a new pair of kicks that just like weren't broken in or something and just fucked my back up. So I could like hardly walk most of that day, I swear. Um, and so I remember like we walked around LA. I mean, I'd never been there. So
Yeah,
we
yeah.
we explored
Right.
a
We went to
little
LA.
bit.
We went to you know Chinese theater and
Yeah.
Ripley's Believe It or Not. We did. You got your picture
Tourist shit.
taken with with the Halo guy.
Yeah, Master Chief on the. You know what's funny about that is I thought these were just kind individuals doing cosplay, just wanting to take pictures with folks. And so I'm like, oh my God, it's Master Chief. Fuck yeah, I want to go take a picture with you. So I go take my picture, and the dude's like, are you gonna tip us? And I'm like, oh, oh, you guys want money? Oh, I thought you were Master Chief, just taking pictures with kids. This is weird. Um, and so we line up, we do the sound check again, and yeah, I mean, I can't remember which nights, but it was which nights they played which songs, but it was great. And this time we were dedicated to being up front, and the show was insane. I remember just getting crushed on the fucking rail, and I
Yeah.
vividly have a memory because, dude, I was like, I don't know how much more I can take of this. Like, I'm exhausted, I'm sweating, my back's
Oh,
killing me.
dude. Yeah.
And I remember at one point, Mark stopped the show and he asked everybody to take a step back. And that right there, I swear, saved my rib cage from cracking against the rail.
Yeah. It was nuts. I remember leaving that thing and literally, I was, I mean, I was soaked a little bit on the front, but literally my entire back. I could have taken my shirt off and wring it out. It was
Yeah.
gross.
Sweaty, gross
Yeah.
shit. So we see Blink back-to-back nights in LA. It's tough to fucking beat that. We head back. You know what? One thing I want to mention about those sound checks, because I want to see if you remember it. I remember Tom saying that they were going to work on a new album soon and that he was going to let the fans create the album art. Do you remember him saying that?
No.
Okay. Well, clearly it didn't mean much. It didn't happen. So a
Right.
couple years go by. Blink's not doing too much. We get the news that Tom is out again. Blink is no more. So again, anytime there's anything interesting with Blink. I'm sure we hopped on a call, but I don't remember it. But do you remember like what you or we thought at that time?
Yeah. Um, I was fucking royally pissed off.
You're like, here we go again. That to me, I think I was like,
Yeah.
here we go again.
It's like, are you kidding me? Like seriously again?
Yeah.
Yeah. That was probably in a nutshell how it went. Like, are you fucking kidding me? This is happening again. Like,
Yeah.
why? And it quickly turned into, well, hopefully they bring plus 44 back. You know?
Yeah. Yeah, that's kind of where I was too. It's like, all right, I mean, I get it, and believe me, like I love Tom, I love Angels and Airwaves. I'm all for everybody doing whatever the fuck makes them happy and
Yeah,
what they want to
I'm the
do.
same way. But yeah, and you and I talked about that too. I'm the same way. But I mean, if Tom isn't in Blink and doesn't want to give Blink the time of day, and he wants to do his other side things, then by all means, do your other side things. It's not
Yeah,
fair to Blink, and it's not fair to the fans to drag something along that's you're
yeah,
not into. That's not your thing anymore, or it's not doesn't have a place in your life at the moment.
yeah. It's just a bummer that, I mean, as amazing as those three dudes are together, and Mark has like put it best. It's like it's kind of like when you're like your best friends from high school, or almost like a high school sweetheart, where it's like you just end up growing apart. And I think they just had some differences, artistic differences on where they wanted to take it. I think Travis and Mark love being musicians and love touring, and that's their
Yep.
thing. And I think at that point in Tom's life, I mean, he didn't want to dedicate, basically like a 3 year of like, let's make an album, let's tour it, let's do this. That's just kind of too much of a commitment. He was bringing up the To the Stars stuff. He was still working on Angels and Airwaves. He's got, these dreams of the multimedia stuff going on. So, I mean, I get it. It just sucks that, they had a couple years, and you would just like to think that if maybe Tom could just dedicate like Thursday nights to Blink. you know, every other Saturday from 2 to 4, like just a little bit. But I mean, I'm not going to force somebody to do what they don't want to do or what they're not passionate about. And I think if you force somebody to do something, then you're not going to get their best effort, or it's going to
Absolutely.
feel forced.
100%. And I
And
think
so,
that's part of neighborhoods. I think that was
yeah,
they committed to it, and they had to force their way through it to get through it. And I think a lot of that album shows that.
yeah,
So yeah, you're exactly right. And I agree 100%. There's as much as I wanted Tom in the band and everything, at the same time, you respect a human as a human. If just like a relationship, man. If one person does not want to be in a relationship, it's
yeah,
not fair to the other person in the relationship to be in there. So
yeah. And the
it is
part
what it
that
is.
And the part that I think like fans have a problem with is, continuing Blink or whatever. But the thing is, dude, like, especially Mark, like Mark's been around obviously since the beginning of Blink, and people don't realize like how fucking hard they worked at putting this band together and building it up to what it is. I mean, you pour your whole life and heart and soul into building this thing up. I mean, your family, sister, siblings, friends, everybody worked so hard at building Blink up to what it was. And then you've got a member who just like can't commit to it or doesn't want to do anything. And so, yeah, I like Tom, go do whatever you want. That's fine. But at the same time, why would Mark, why should Mark and Travis have to stop what they want to do because of that? And this is
Right.
where obviously there's people on different sides of this. So when I got the news, I'm like, okay, I mean, hopefully they continue making music, whether this is plus 44 or whatever. We've been through this before. We know Blink fans know how this this
Yeah,
kind of
the
goes.
hiatus. Yep.
Yeah, yeah. So it wasn't like
It's always a hiatus.
particularly surprising. I mean, once we'd like basically once like 2 years had gone by and they hadn't really done anything, I'm like, okay, what's going on here? Are they gonna come up with anything? Are they gonna get in the studio? Um, and again, like I think the way that Tom likes to kind of write and create art, I think is kind of when it pops in his head or when he feels inspired or kind of wants to go that route. I don't think Tom's the type to like say, okay, January 5th, we are in the studio and we are going to write 12 songs. Like, I just don't think he works that way. Whereas Mark and Travis are down to work that way. And so I think it just causes issues, and they're all busy people. So it obviously didn't work out. So they had a show booked for Travis's Muse Inc. It's a music and tattoo festival, which, by the way, it was canceled this year for COVID. But like, dude, you and I feel like would love going to that thing, man. Like,
Yeah, that would be insane.
you've seen all his stuff he does for that, right?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, dude, like sick bands, like all these like sick tattoo artists and dope cars. And so Blink was scheduled to play that, and that was kind of the first one where they were like, Tom's not gonna play this. And so, as we all know, they asked Matt Skiba to go to lunch. Really random to be asked to go out to eat with Mark and Travis.
Right.
And they asked him to, at that point, at least fill in for the shows, which he does. So we had conversations about this, I'm sure. I knew Alkaline Trio. I knew Matt Skiba, couple songs. I wasn't like the biggest fan in the world or anything. Had you even heard of him at all? I don't think you had.
Yeah, yeah. No, I had heard Alkaline Trio, and like you said, a couple of songs. They were like, "Oh, I've heard the song before," but I had no idea who Matt Skiba was.
Yeah.
I didn't associate Matt Skiba with Alkaline Trio.
Yeah.
I associated Alkaline Trio with, oh, I've heard of that band before, but even then I could tell you any of their songs at the time.
Yeah.
So,
and they poked fun. I mean, they poked fun at that. They knew that. I mean, they had shirts that said, "Who the fuck is Matt Skiba?" when he first joined. So how did you feel when we get the word that's Matt Skiba's filling in, and then of course long term as a member of the band?
I think we had that conversation too, and it was just like, you know what? At least it's Blink. At least Blink is carrying on, and we're still going to be able to at least see. At that time, we're like, oh, at least we can still see Mark and Travis perform Blink songs. But you and I both were like, holy crap, what the hell is Skiba really going to perform some of these like heavy Tom songs? Like,
and
he did. And in my opinion, overall, Skiba's been great in Blink.
Yeah, it was. I mean, I was happy. I'm happy for everybody. Like, I'm happy. I was so stoked that Blink was going to continue and be active and be happy. They played those shows, they went well. And I remember just being like, holy fuck, like Skiba pulled this shit off. Like he's doing it.
Yeah.
And then we find out that he's actually going to be a member and they're going to get in the studio. And dude, they were just like all the time, like writing and posting pictures and smiling and active as a band. And it's just something that we hadn't seen in so long that I was so stoked for them, regardless of, whether I would end up liking the music or miss Tom or whatever would happen. And so, we start getting all these kind of teasers and they're in the studio all the time, dude. They were like nonstop, like crushing it with Feldman in the studio. And we finally get word that the new album's called California. It's getting ready to drop. And I mean, you and I were fucking like stoked as hell.
We were ecstatic. Yeah.
And so California drops, and we didn't have like, a lot of people just didn't know what to expect. I mean, that was the biggest thing for me, is like, I don't know if this is going to sound like Plus 44. Is this going to sound like Alkaline Trio? What is it? And so California drops, and I mean, you already know how I feel about this. How do you feel about it?
I loved it.
Love it, dude.
I mean, it was a breath of fresh air. There was an energy that they had together. Like you could almost sense in the music. And obviously, if you're a Blink fan, you follow them and you see, like you said, all the posts and we've made 50 songs in the studio, and we're like, holy crap, there's got to be some good chemistry there. If they've got 50 songs pounded out, like holy crap. And sure enough, you hear California, and it's just like, dude, I could get behind this. And the more and more I heard California, the more and more I loved it. And then they dropped the deluxe, and it's like, holy crap! How did half these songs on deluxe not make the main album? Because
I know.
I mean, the deluxe album was better than the beginning of the first album.
Arguably, yeah. So California drops and Blink's back. Like, dude, like the whole like artwork and the promotion and everything's like so sick. You and I are stoked because they're getting ready to tour again. So we hadn't seen Blink since 2013 in LA. So this is 2016 summer, and as always, it's like tradition. Like I figure out when Blink's playing, I hit you up like, how much money you want to spend. We're like, how many
Yeah,
shows we're
yeah,
going to.
yeah.
Um,
And at this point in time, it's to the point where if Blink's within 3 to 5 hours in any
yeah,
direction, we're there. I mean,
yeah, we're there. Like, no
it's just how it
question.
is.
And so the California tour, man, has a lot of hype. The album drops, and you and I have tickets. We saw them first in Nashville. We brought the wives,
Hmm.
um, and so we go see that, and it was great, dude. Like they crushed it.
Yeah, they had kind of had the old school banter where they were like going back and forth with one another, like you kind of hear on Mark Thomas Travis show. That we didn't talk about that, but the Untitled album they just didn't have. When we went and saw them in L.A., they didn't have that banter back and forth that we
Yeah, not at all.
expected.
Yeah,
So to kind of have that back and forth where they were goofing off, and Mark would go over and take all you know Skiba's picks off his
yeah.
microphone and throw them into the crowd, and
They had the
it
flaming
was
fuck
just
sign. The
yeah,
fuck
yeah,
sign was back. So we saw him in Nashville, and so stoked. That was like a couple weeks after the album dropped. Um, we were so stoked for the next show, which was in Indy. So Indianapolis, Indiana is like typically where we for sure always catch them.
yeah.
And at this one, we had VIP, and we had the photo op thing. So this is the first time that you and I get to meet Mark. And I remember we went to sound check. It was dope. They played Eminem's and something else. Um, and then I remember like you get lined up and you kind of quickly get shuffled through like a quick photo op, but you get to shake their hands, say hey. And right before this, I had gotten the "Hi, my name is Mark" octopus tattooed on my rib cage, like huge. I
It's
think I
dope.
I think I have
It is dope.
I'm pretty confident I have the largest "Hi, my name is Mark" tattoo on the planet. And if you have one bigger, please send it to me. Um, and so I remember we're standing in line, just like ecstatic, like little kids in a candy shop, getting ready to meet our heroes.
Yeah, we're grown men at this point in time, and
Yeah,
yeah, that's
grown ass
exactly what it
men.
was like.
And I remember like easing our way up, and then they're like right next to us, and you're tapping on my shoulder. You're like, dude, there's Mark Hoppus. You're like, look around the corner. There's Travis and Mark. I'm like, dude, they can hear you. Like we're like a foot away from him. Like there he is, there he is. Um, and it goes, I mean, it goes quick in those scenarios. You kind of shake your hand, but I remember showing Mark my tattoo, which like he seemed genuinely stoked. And as soon as I got done, it's one of those things where like I was like, I just flashed a man. I just I'm a grown man. I just flashed a grown man.
Uh,
But I remember just like being so amped up. We're like, dude, we just met fucking Travis. Like actually like shook Travis's hand, said what
yeah,
up,
got our picture taken on a
got our
Blink
picture
banner.
with like the Blink banner, said what up to Skiba. Skiba's like always so kind.
Oh yeah,
Uh,
he's super nice guy.
and so
Super,
those
super nice.
that show was just we were a lot closer at this one. So I mean, dude, Blink was back, and honestly, like I know people have certain opinions on whether or not they miss Tom. It's like, yeah, I mean, I miss Tom too. I mean, I, I'm a guitar player, so I miss like some of those recognizable Tom
Yes.
DeLonge guitar riffs. I'm not gonna lie, I do. That being said, I love the new Blink stuff. I love Cali, love Deluxe, love Nine. I love that they're all happy. I'm totally down with the new Angel stuff. And so, yeah, I think in a perfect world, and Mark would probably say this too, in a perfect world, Tom would still be in the band. Everybody would be happy. They'd still be, headlining stadiums. I mean, it's
Yeah,
just,
I agree.
I mean, nobody signed up for this to go this way, but it is what it is. And dude, I've had, and I know, I mean, you've been there with me. I cannot thank Mark and Travis enough for the rad times that especially you and I have had over the past what's been 5 fucking years now, that to be honest would not have happened if Tom was still in the band. And that's not Tom's fault, Mark's fault, anybody's fault. I'm just saying
Right.
it probably wouldn't have happened. Let's be honest
Yeah,
here.
you're exactly right. We thank goodness that the Skiba thing worked out, and Skiba did put his band on hold essentially to be a member of Blink, because you're exactly right, dude. I can't imagine not only not having the music, but having all those experiences for the last 5
I
years.
know,
Just
I know.
some really, really great times, and I'm sure we'll
Yeah.
get into, some of the
Yeah,
other
dude.
concerts we went into, but
It's just such, I mean, just amazing times. And I know, like, I understand, like, I always have, like, we call them Tom bots, like people who just like loyally follow Tom 100% and they just kind of shit on anything that Tom's not a part of. And it's like,
sure.
look, I can understand your perspective, but just be respectful. Like, okay, if you don't dig the music, well, it's okay. Like, be happy that they're happy and that like new fans are finding Blink or enjoying these shows. I mean, these shows are packed. They are
Oh,
packed and
yeah, they're sold
they're
out.
yeah, and a lot of fun. And
Yeah.
so it's all good. Like everybody's happy now. Cannot thank Skiba enough, and that's something that doesn't get brought up as much as it should. He put his basically career and baby Alkaline Trio on complete hold to step in unselfishly and become a member of Blink at this time. Um, and I can't thank that dude enough for that. He didn't have to do that. He didn't have to do any of this the past 5 years. And so I think if you've dug any of the new material or you've been to a show or you've had any good times over the past 5, 6 years with Blink, I mean, Skiba deserves some props for that, no
And
question.
he's good live. He is good
Yeah.
live, and vocally, he's incredible.
Yeah, and he's doing his best. I know, I understand when people are like, "Oh, he fucked up Tom's carousel guitar riff." I'm like, dude, for one, it's a hard guitar riff. For two, he didn't write the fucking song. And it's like he's trying his best. It's all good. Like, I mean, Tom is a unique guitar player who has really a unique picking style, and he fucking slays some of those palm mutes. I mean, I got to give it up to Tom. For years, I kind of thought he was pretty simple guitar player. He always has a great way with making like super catchy riffs and stuff. But I didn't give it too much. I didn't give him too much props on like the technical side of things. But man, I've been learning some of the original like Cheshire Cat songs and stuff recently. And dude, some of his guitar stuff is hard to be honest. But I digress. So, anyways, the California tour is incredible. Blink's back. They get nominated for a Grammy. I know you and I both just said that doesn't mean too much to us, but that's great. That's a cool
Yeah,
um,
first time ever.
award. It's prestigious. I know they're very proud of that. I honestly like. I don't think it could have went any better, and I don't think people realize how much balls that takes of Mark and Travis to say, "Look, we are going to continue this, and we're going to
With
go
or
for it."
without you. Yep.
With or without, and we're gonna go for it because, dude, it could have went so badly. I
Mhm.
mean, so badly. And I think for the most part, it went great. Yeah, not everybody's gonna be happy with everything, but I mean, they've put out some killer albums, and so the next summer, they dropped Deluxe, and I mean, we thought California ripped, and when they dropped Deluxe, I'm like, dude, how the fuck does Misery and 6-8.
Yeah, yes. I mean, you talk about a couple of the best songs, in
Oh,
my
dude.
opinion, Blink's ever put out. I mean, 6-8 is probably by far my favorite song on California.
I mean,
And I
it's
just
killer.
yeah, like you and I had a conversation like, what the hell? Like who decided this didn't make the original cut of the
Yeah, these are throwaways.
yeah, these are throwaways. Now, we later find out that they went back into the studio and made a few songs. Now we don't know if those songs were throwaway songs or they made those after.
6-8 actually was. A lot of them we don't know,
God,
but 6-8 was because I saw an interview. I reread an interview not too long ago, and Travis, leading up to California, said something like, "Yeah, we've got a song called 6-8 that's like probably the hardest Blink song we've ever recorded, or something like that." So yeah, I mean that song doesn't even make your album, and that's one of my favorite Blink
yeah,
songs from this
that's
entire
insane.
era. Um, so, dude, I mean, if you had any questions on, what these dudes could do together from Cali, by the time Deluxe dropped, I'm just like, holy shit.
Yeah. We start talking, you and I start having this conversation. It's like, bros, if you include Deluxe as Cali, one of your top
I
three, top
know.
four Blink albums of all time, I never would have thought I'd have that conversation, but
Yeah,
dude, it's insane.
it, re- it is.
For me, it's in the conversation.
if you count Deluxe as the album, which is, 1 and 2, I mean, that's a shit ton of songs. So it's almost like cheating. But if you count Deluxe, dude, that's in my top 5. It's got to be.
Oh, for sure. For sure.
So they dropped Deluxe, and they go right back out on tour, which is just incredible. And I'm telling you, a lot of the fans or maybe younger listeners, you have no idea how spoiled you are by having such an active band with shows. I mean, it's just it's incredible, to be able to see Blink each summer and have something to look forward to. And this round, you and I decided to splurge on like this big VIP package they
Yeah.
had. So
Yeah.
we're finally old men. We don't need grandma's money at this point.
Yeah. We're both into, well-paying jobs.
So
Doing
we're
our
like,
thing, so
and for us, like to me, and that's part of what's so sad about like COVID is like basically Blink shows are like my vacations. Like Blink shows and baseball games are like my vacations, and I can't do either right now, which just fucking blows. And so we decided to splurge on the biggest tier of VIP, which basically is when they did like these little like 30-minute meet and greets where basically you just kick it with the dudes, like either backstage or you play like Mario Kart with them. They got food for you. And the big thing to me that was like why it was worth the money for me, because we already shook their hand and got a picture. But in the quick photo op thing, you couldn't get stuff signed, which is always a bummer. For me, I know for most, they would prefer the picture. I actually would usually prefer to get something signed. And I get it. It's too much shit to do. There's too many people to get through the line. But the big thing for me is at the big VIP thing, which is like 10 people usually, you could get whatever the fuck you wanted signed. So that was huge for me and why I was willing for sure to throw down. So we get tickets. We somehow, I don't know how, I still don't know how we pulled off getting those because there's only 10 per show or some of them like 8 per show. We secure them to, I think it was Knoxville, Tennessee. It was like 4 hours away. Because on the Deluxe tour, they hit some different cities. They didn't hit like Indy and St. Louis and shit like where we usually catch them. And so this was like months away. So we're leading up to this. We're like, all right, 2 months until we're kicking it with Mark and Travis and Skiba. It gets closer until it's like literally like 4 or 5 days away. And you and I start getting in touch more. We're like, dude, we're chilling with Blink next week. Fucking stoked.
And then what do you bring in? What are you getting signed? We're game planning.
Yeah, we're like freaking out. I'm like, oh my gosh, like how many items is it gonna be rude to ask to get signed? Like, am I cool with 3 or is that too much? You were like trying to figure out what color drum head to buy and shit.
How about
and like so fucking stoked. And all of a sudden I get an email that the show we're going to is canceled. Here we go again, Matt. We know this feeling far too well. And
especially on the show that you and I just shelled out, big chunk of change. And
yeah. And of
this
course,
wasn't a normal show.
Yeah, of course. This was the one where like we're literally supposed to hang out with Blink. And I'm like, oh my God, you've got to be kidding me. So I'm like scrambling to like see if there's any shows even halfway near driving distance that we could at least catch or maybe transfer the VIP package or whatever. And I can't even remember the name of the fucking town. Where was it? It was in Alabama. Do you remember the name of it?
Pelham? Is it Pelham?
Pelham, Alabama.
Am I right with saying that?
Yes. It was like 6.5, 7-hour drive. And thank God the VIP company was down to transfer the package. So you and I, instead of going to Knoxville, Tennessee on like a Sunday or whatever, we have to drive to fucking Alabama, which is like 7 hours away. Right. But totally worth it. So we drive down there and we stand in the little VIP line. We get to see sound check. And then afterwards, they walk us to like this little trailer. And we're just sitting there. It's literally us and like 6 other dudes. And we're just kind of waiting, like shooting the shit. They had like waters out and like veggie trays and shit. And then all of a sudden, the front door of this little trailer opens and Travis Barker walks in. And all of a sudden the door opens again. Mark Hoppus walks in, and followed by Skiba, and we're literally like just in this tight quarters. Like it was actually like a
Like
really
we're
weird.
literally in a trailer with like
Yeah,
these three guys.
yeah,
Mark, Mark's son and stuff was there, and then like I think there was 10 people instead of 8 because we were there.
yeah. So we're just kicking it, and honestly, like everybody's so like starstruck at first that it was kind of awkward. And I remember Mark just like some dude had some vinyl, and Mark was just like, "You want me to sign these?" And just like grabbed them and just started like signing them. And then it kind of like everybody kind of opened up a little bit. And in the meantime, like Trav's son Landon was just like wrecking people in Mario Kart. Like if you wanted to go over there, he was playing Nintendo Switch or whatever, just wrecking people, whoever wanted to step up to the plate. But anyways, like you and I, right away, Travis, like we had our shit out on the table, and right away, like Travis just starts talking to us and just starts signing your drum head. I think was the first thing,
Yeah. Yep.
and you got it signed like so huge, and you asked him, and
I
you
asked,
got this
yep.
idea. You got this idea from me,
100% from you, no doubt.
but you asked him first. You asked him if he could sign Travis motherfucking Barker, and dude, he just pimped it out like so sick, like
Yeah,
huge
it's a
signature.
black gloss drum head, and he signed it in silver Sharpie, dude.
Yeah,
It's insane.
yeah. And so I have this is so funny. So we get our shit signed, and I had like a plus 44 album, Take Off, and then Trav's solo record. And so we go around talking to him, and Matt was like, dude, honestly, like not that many people were talking to Matt. And so I go over there and talk to him. Super nice as always. And then I almost like forgot to talk to Mark. And we were like running out of time. The lady was like, all right, you got 5 minutes. It's like, fuck, I gotta go over here and talk to Mark. So I go walk over and talk to Mark. And I had my short bus, like that super rare Blink vinyl with me or whatever. And I busted that out, and he was so stoked to see that. That was from like 1994, dude, like ancient, before they were even called Blink 182. So he was stoked about that. Signed my plus 44 thing to Ryan, which is one of my most cherished items. Um, and then it was basically time to bounce. I mean, it went quick, but I mean, was that like
Yeah.
not one of the
Yeah.
coolest days ever?
It was cool because I got a drumstick signed by the entire band, which is kind of rare.
Oh yeah.
Travis Barker drumstick, and I got that white drum head
Oh,
where
dude.
that was really cool because Mark put two Matt, Mark Hoppus, Blink 182, and he put the date on
Yes.
it, and Travis signed it perfectly, and then Skiba signed it with the Blink smiley on it, which is super rare.
Yes, he did. Yeah, dude, your drum
So
head is like the sickest fucking Blink signed drum head I think I've ever seen.
yeah, that was pretty dope. And then I brought along the things I got signed is like I got a Barker drumstick signed. I got um, Barker to sign my black drum head and the whole band to sign the white one.
Yeah.
And then I got the autograph of um, the picture that we got taken with Blink. The
Oh,
picture.
the previous
Yep. And
year.
I was gonna get the whole band to sign that.
Yeah.
Well, I got lost in the shuffle. Travis signed it, Skiba signed it, and I forgot to get Mark's signature.
Yeah, you forgot Mark. I forgot
Dude,
about that because
oh man.
oh man.
So for years, that was like, are you shitting me? Like I was gonna put this thing on display, and I'm like, I just don't even want to display it because
It
it's
just
not
pisses you
complete.
off. Yeah,
It's
and
like, dude, I had the opportunity. They weren't turning away any autographs. There was no question of that. It's just it turned into conversations, and then I forgot to get stuff signed. Like I just forgot to have Mark
yeah.
sign that piece.
Yeah, and he totally would. I mean, he was more
Oh
than
yeah,
happy to do it. And
he was down to do it. It wasn't even a problem. I just totally whiffed
I
it on that
remember
one.
that we were like, you're never like, where the fuck are you gonna run into Mark Hoppus? Like with this photo ready.
Yep.
So that's, I mean, obviously, like for me, as like a Blink collector and like, especially like getting autographs and shit, like to me, that was just so rad. One of the coolest memories I have, really, probably in my life, certainly in the Blink stratosphere. Um, Gosh, we've been to a bunch of shows. So that was the deluxe summer. Again, stuff that would not have
Hmm.
happened if it weren't for them continuing Blink. And so the next year, we see they're going to do the Vegas residency. And this is another one where like I feel like I get an email and I'm like, I'm gonna have to fly across the fucking country again. And so we
Yep.
talked about this, and the funny thing about this, you have family in Vegas, so your grandma's in Vegas,
Yes.
the grandma who,
Yes.
all this is coming full circle with your
Yeah.
grandma.
Grandma from years ago paid for our tickets.
Yeah, who paid for our plus 44. And so we're looking at the prices on Vegas, all this stuff. This is like, I want to say like September, October, we're looking at. I actually like had my son was due like pretty soon around then. So I was like, I don't know if I'm going to be able to do this, but uh, we worked it out. And we decided we're going to go to Vegas. We can stay with your grandma, free place to stay. We got a free car. Let's do this. It isn't going to be that big of a deal. And so here we are, another road trip. Me and my Blink friend in real life, Matt. We go out to Las Vegas. These shows were dope, dude. So it was at the Palms. I'd been to Vegas before. I actually had no desire to ever go back, but Blink got me there. And these shows, it was just like a kind of casino off the strip, pretty small. And the thing I loved about these is we lined up, and dude, you get let in, and it was just Blink at 9 o'clock, like no opener, no
Yes.
standing for hours. Like, dude, I loved those shows.
Oh yeah. Wham bam, thank you, ma'am. It was awesome. So we got up again, right on the rail, and the nice thing about this is I didn't have to worry about Ryan having to take 6 pisses, before the show started.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. And it wasn't like a sweaty like mosh pit crowd like it was in, 2013 at the Palladium with a bunch of punk kids. Like it was still a super small venue, but like super small pit, and it wasn't like super rowdy or anything, man. I enjoyed it. Like in fact, like I had like a coffee. Like the first show I had a coffee and was just in the front row just fucking like totally taking it in,
yeah,
man.
chilling. Yep. And
Uh
my cousin who didn't get to go to or miss that concert that we
oh
went
yeah.
to for Plus 44.
Yeah.
That was the first time we got to go to a Blink concert together because he's a Blink fan too. And it didn't work out that time. He had to go back to Vegas, so he went with us there, and another buddy of ours, Derek, went with us on
Yeah.
this trip. So,
And I hadn't seen your cousin since he was like fucking like a little kid. So he's a
oh,
grown
dude,
man
yeah,
now.
yeah. Now he's like 6'6", 6'7", and he's
Oh yeah.
huge.
Yeah, big ass dude. So once again, we see Blink back to back nights. It was cool, man. The residency was dope because they had like casino chips that were Blink. It was hard to find those, man. I remember we were looking for those.
Yep.
It was so sick. I remember like walking down the strip and we got handed like we walked out of the shop and this dude's like, "Hey, Blink-182's playing at the Palms tonight," and they're like handing out these flyers. I'm like, "Yeah, motherfucker, I know. We flew here from Indiana to see them back to back nights. Come on now." But they had like, do you remember that billboard, like that building where like the entire building was like the California
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
art? It was just surreal just seeing Blink like all over Las Vegas, to be
Yeah.
honest.
On a skyscraper type,
Yeah.
on a big hotel. It
Yeah.
was really cool.
The one of the things that really was a big factor in me wanting to go to those shows is they brought back Adam's Song. So they were playing Adam's Song live for the first time in years at those shows. And so I remember like they played Adam's Song live, and here we are, like literally a foot and a half away from Mark. And dude, that was just such an incredible experience.
Hmm.
I also remember they had the model of the California car out front, like in the lobby. Do you remember that?
Yep. Yep. The front half of it or whatever.
Yeah, yeah, that shit was dope. So yeah, we saw them back to back nights. It was pretty sick. I mean, definitely worth the trip. They played
Oh, for
Obvious, they
sure.
played Parking Lot. And again, like small venue, chance to catch Blink, no opener, like straight business.
Mhm.
Super stoked. The thing that always cracks me up about that trip, that's the cat trip to me. So Matt tells me, we got a free place to stay. We've got a free car. Well, I'm like deathly allergic to cats. Like literally my fucking eyes will like swell shut. My throat will start closing. And I don't know if you even knew that prior to this. So we show up to Matt's grandma's and we walk in and she has like 47 cats.
It's not true at all.
And I'm
I
like,
think she has 3 cats.
oh, yeah. Not only does she have 3 cats, but like I was laying down and one was like on my fucking head. And I'm like, okay. And dude, actually, like that first night, like I was drunk and like getting pissed. I was like, dude, I'm getting a hotel. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
You and Derek were like, I'm not paying for a hotel. I'm like, I'll pay for the fucking hotel. Like, I'm not sleeping with those goddamn cats again. I can't fucking breathe. Dude, in fact, that just reminded me the second day we had to find like a goddamn Walgreens or something
Yep. Go get some
so that I
allergy
could
medicine.
so that I could get allergy medicine and then this shit to shoot up my nose so that I could maybe breathe that day to see my favorite band in the world in Las Vegas. Gosh, almost
I
had to go to the
forgot about all that.
hospital for cats.
Oh,
Yeah, so that's the cat trip to me. That's pretty funny. Okay, we're getting close. We're getting close to the end here. So the next summer's 2019, which gosh, I can't believe that that's already been like, a year and a half ago. It's the 20th anniversary of Enema of the State, and they announced that they're doing 20th anniversary tour. They're going to play the album front to back, and they're going to play with Wheezy and Neck Deep. So you and I like Lil Wayne, so we were pretty stoked on that. Once again, we get to do the sound check thing, as is tradition. I mean, to me, dude, to me, those are like the coolest thing in the world. What about you?
oh yeah. No, I love the sound check. And you and I had a ridiculous experience with that sound check too. We got to freaking hold Mark's bass.
Oh, that's right. I've got this on my 182 News YouTube channel. In fact, like I don't know how like if the algorithm just started popping this up in people's feeds, but all of a sudden I started getting subscribers like every day, and I'm like, oh, they must really love the podcast. And then I look at the views on my shit, and it's like, oh no, they're just all watching this video of Mark handing me the bass he recorded Enema of the State with. That's like 200,000 views or something stupid the last time I checked. So yeah, you and I. Okay, this is actually a good story. So we get the tickets to 2 shows, as usual, Indy and I think St. Louis. And we get the VIP for the sound check. We're stoked. They didn't offer the big VIP package that tour.
No, because we were down again to do that. No problem.
Definitely down. And so we do it. We do the sound check and the photo op basically. And prior to this, like I'm a big baseball card nerd, baseball guy. And I had the idea, I was dabbling around and I had made some baseball cards for the charity I help with. And I was like, you know what? I want to make some Blink ones. And I got like real into it. And so they're like accurate by the era, like the photo and the fonts and all this shit. And so I made them for each era, starting with Cheshire, all the way up through California. And I made them for each member. Like I have ones of Scott, I have ones of Tom on his albums, and Skiba on his. On Skiba, I even put like a little rookie card symbol, which is sick. And so, anyways, I like a couple days before our show, I tweeted Mark, and I said, "Hey, I've got a set of these cards, and in the VIP thing, it says not to give you guys gifts," which is actually pretty funny. I don't know why they don't just throw them away, or maybe it just is too much of a hassle or a safety thing. I don't know, or just too much crap to pile in the tour bus. And I said, the VIP thing says not to give you guys gifts, but I made these custom Blink 182 baseball cards. And if you want a set, I would be more than happy to give you one. And he replied back and he said, totally, bring them to the sound check. And he said, use this tweet as your hall pass if they give you any shit. I'm like, all right. So we drive up to Indy, we go into the sound check, and I was nervous. Like right at the beginning, I'm like, I don't want to be that guy who like interrupts. That's one thing I hate is just like, it's not that I like expect preferential treatment or anything, but I just don't want to be that guy who's like asking or doing shit that you're not supposed to be doing. But I'm like, whatever. I had the cards, and Mark walks out first as he usually does. And when he finally kind of comes over towards us, I said, hey, Mark, I said, I sent you a picture of these baseball cards I made. And I said, here they are. And you said you wanted them. So here they are. in case you want to keep them or, just throw them in the trash. And so he was stoked. He reached over the rail, like picked them up. He started looking through them and he goes, "Oh, these are great. I'm gonna throw them in the trash." But he set them on his base cabinet or whatever. And um, there was a lot of time where Mark was chatting with us right up front. You and I were right front
Yeah,
center.
yeah. He came out like probably 10 or 15 minutes before anybody else came out and just
Yeah.
literally kind of played with his bass a little bit, but literally sat down right in front of us and just talked and answered questions. And
Yeah, he sat, and if you guys look
it
up the
was
video,
incredible.
you'll see what we're talking about. He just sat in front of Trav's kit, like literally right in front of us, and was just answering questions. I think you asked him like, "What's his favorite Simple Creature song?"
Yep.
We were asking him at the time if they had came up with an album title for Nine, and they had just came up with it, and he wouldn't tell us what it was, because Nine was like leading up to the release of that throughout that summer, and I was rocking a Simple Creatures shirt because I love Simple Creatures and I wanted to rep. And I don't know if that played a factor or if my baseball cards played a factor. But Mark is playing with Petey, which is the bass that he recorded most of Enema of the State with. And all of a sudden he just fucking hands it to me. And he goes like, this is the bass I recorded Enema of the State with. And we're like, "Oh, that's awesome." And then all of a sudden he's just like handing it
He's like, yeah, you want to check it out? And he
to me.
literally,
I'm like,
yeah,
"Oh
he
my
hands it
God."
across this freaking rail, and I'm sitting there going, holy shit, is this happening?
Yeah, yeah. And I'm like, okay. And so I take it and I'm like, God, if I drop this fucking thing, like
Yeah, and I just happened to be recording, like
yeah.
just
And
perfect
thankfully
timing.
you happen to be recording. So he hands it to me and I put it over I think I hold it and like kind of strummed it a little bit. And what sucks is like at the time I hadn't really dabbed in bass. Since then I've gotten one and I've kind of Mark Hoppus octopused it out and can play some Blink stuff on it. So I would have busted out something if this would happen these days. But anyways, um, you wanted to hold it, so I passed it to you. You got to hold it and kind of strum it, which you can see on the video. And then immediately after you, the bass tech Robert comes in and he's like, "Okay, that's all, folks. Give it back carefully."
Yeah,
Which
we
is
were the
dope.
only ones who got to do
Yeah,
anything with it, which was
I know.
insane.
I know, just you and I. And so
And
I
just
mean,
thinking back that, this bass is at least 20 years old. And then,
yeah,
you know, dude, he recorded Enema with this guitar.
I
Like,
know.
that's nuts.
It's nuts, dude. He recorded "What's My Age Again" with that guitar. Like it blows my
God.
fucking mind, dude. And I mean, Mark's just so cool. I mean, it's so cool. Like, I mean, I guess he's got a lot of guitars, but like, I wouldn't fucking hand that bass to people, to be honest. I guess
Yeah, I
he
mean,
trusts.
just if somebody drops it, then like, I mean,
Yeah,
can you
I
imagine?
know. I guess he trusted me. So yeah, that was a really cool thing about the sound check. And then the other thing that sticks out about that show to me is Travis did his drum solo, which was sick, like in the ball or whatever. And we were right up front. Um,
Yeah, and
and
that was the first tour we've ever gone on where Travis wasn't in the back. They had
oh
him
yeah, yeah, yeah.
front and center. So
Oh yeah,
you and I got right up on Travis's, because we typically get in front of Mark because it's either Mark or Skiba, and no offense, but you know, we're going to
we're going with
Mark.
Mark. Yeah, no,
but
yeah, that's a good point. And
but you
I've
and I
mentioned that
both said,
before.
"Oh my God, freaking Barker's front and center."
Yeah, dude.
And so, we were in front of Barker that both those concerts we went to for
Dude,
that tour.
I tell people like, God, I hope you all got to see those Enema shows. I really hope people got to see those because man, literally standing, I mean, 2 feet away from Travis and watching him slay Enema front to back
Yeah,
that close was just fucking phenomenal.
yeah. I mean, you go to a Blink concert, you see Travis, you watch Travis, but like you said, with him being literally, you know, you could spit on him if you wanted to. Like,
Yeah. No, he spits sometimes, and I'm like worried I'm gonna get hit.
yeah, yeah. But just being able to be that close to him and really see all this little things you don't realize he does,
Yeah.
it really is just incredible, how amazing that man is at playing the drums.
And he fucked at the beginning of that show. He fucked his knuckle up. He was bleeding like hell.
Yeah.
And I remember like when the show started, like it was so cool. And this was one of those things that we saw because we were so close. Like Mark was playing, they were playing a song, and Mark like walked over to the bass and they were kind of nodding. And I could see Travis kind of show him his finger. And he was
Yeah.
like, I fucked up my finger, but they kept playing. I mean, he
Yeah. And
fucking
at the end of that
crushed it.
song, he walked over and said, I mean, this is on, it was mic'd up. You could hear him. He's like, Travis, are you okay? Can you play? He's
Yeah.
like, we're good. And then he announced, oh, Travis, just over here bleeding all over his drum set.
Yeah. Yeah. Which he always, I mean, he does that all the time. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Like I remember like on some of their shows, there was a tour a while back where like almost after every show he would like put on his Instagram story or whatever, like just splattered blood like all over his fucking snare. Just such a beast. But the thing that sticks out about that show to me as well is at one point when we were waiting for Blink to come on, Sky and I think it was actually like Trav's like stepdaughter came. They were like right up front, like in front of us, like walking, and they were like taking pictures or whatever, like getting dope pictures, and nobody was saying anything. And I was just like, hey, what's up, Sky? I mean, I never said hey or what up. I just want to say hey, like, hey, what's happening? She was like, oh, hi. She's like, we're taking pictures for Instagram or whatever. And so just like subtle thing like that. And this is why you be nice to people, folks. And I've said this before on the pod. I'm like, I can't tell you how many times like just being kind to like a guitar tech or the sound guy or something, like it comes back and can work in your benefit. And so Travis does his solo, which he goes up in like that rotating ball on this tour. He's like upside down. It's nuts. And he tosses his drumstick at the end of it. And it lands like at the end of the stage. He doesn't make it into the crowd because it's so far away. Who's up front? Oh, Sky Hoppus. She grabs the drumstick. She turns around. Who does she give it to? Ya boy in the Simple Creature shirt who said hello earlier, hands it directly to me. Other people tried to steal it. I think you tried to steal it. She said, nope, handed it directly to me. And so I thankfully have a Travis Barker used solo drumstick, and it's got fucking blood on it. It's beat to hell. So that's the other cool thing that sticks out about that show to me. All right, last Blink show, and then we're going to get into some rapid fire, and then we're done. We've been going for a while, but this is great. I appreciate your time.
Yeah,
And I don't remember too much about this show other than it's the last one. No. The thing I do remember about this is St. Louis, Enema of the State, is that as we're driving there, Lil Wayne cancels. You remember that?
okay. Yes. So let's go on record by saying the first show we saw Lil Wayne, we were so stoked. I don't know about you, but he was hot garbage. It was not.
I just didn't know a lot of his songs, and I'm surprised. I was
Yeah,
surprised
I
because,
mean, he
dude,
did a few of his songs, but the way in hip hop concerts like this,
yeah,
he'll do like a 30-second,
right,
he'll do a verse and a 30-second beat of a song, and then he'll go on to another song.
yeah.
And I just remember this dude coming out on stage with a freaking blunt rolled that was
Oh my
like the size of
gosh,
my hand. Like it
dude.
was like an infant's arm. It was huge. And
Yes,
I'm like, oh my God.
I've got a picture of it on the ground, like by the set list, and it's like the size of the fucking set list. I mean, we could have reached over and stole his blunt if we wanted to, but yeah, he's smoking real dank, and it was huge.
It was just insane, crazy big. And I'm like, what the hell?
I was shocked by how little he was. He's just like a
Yeah, it's
small
tiny.
dude, and then
And
like his jewelry, dude.
he had diamonds everywhere. He had
Dude,
like a little diamond
everywhere.
goat on his freaking
Yes, dude.
huge thing. He had
he
all
had
his fingers. He had
yes,
chains around his Nike Shocks that he was wearing.
yes. He had
Like,
fucking ice dangling from his Nike Shocks, and it was probably like, dude, I guarantee you those were $40,000-$50,000 like all day,
oh yeah.
just
He-
blinged out.
this dude had millions of dollars in jewelry on, no doubt.
Yeah,
It
no
was
question.
crazy.
So it was, I mean, I enjoyed his set, like just seeing him, but I was shocked at how little of the songs I knew because, dude, like I'm a pretty big Wheezy fan, like going back to like Carter 1, 2, all the mixtapes, like, so I was shocked at that. And so while I was fine with seeing him again, when he canceled, I was actually like totally down with that because I really enjoyed Neck Deep. And since then
Yeah.
have like become like a pretty big fan of their stuff. Like I definitely follow them and check them out. And so they played a longer set, which I was stoked for. And I think you
Like how
enjoyed them too.
Yeah, I caught his drumstick.
Yeah. I mean, those dudes ripped, opening the set that way. So, yeah, I don't have too much. I don't think there's anything like super crazy to get into on the second show, but that's sad that that was the last one
This
we've been
the
to.
second show was a big thing for me because I finally got my photograph completed. Um,
Oh,
I was able to bring that, and Mark was actually able to sign it in the silver Sharpie, and he signed it perfect, and it looked like it was done the same day as it was, 3 years ago.
yeah, yeah.
So
We asked like, and this was kind of like a dick move. This is this is one of those things where like if you look over and you see people doing this, you're like, those motherfuckers. So we go to sound check. And they walk into sound check, you do your sound check, and then you're supposed to leave. You're supposed to line up and either get your picture taken or just leave. And we were kind of like straggling because Mark was hanging around. And Mark was like talking to his tech and like checking out his bass guitars. And we were like, yo, this is the time to ask if you're gonna ask. Like you have it
yeah, all I could
ready.
do is say no. You know what
Yeah,
I
all he
mean?
can do is
Like,
say no. And so like literally like we waited to be like the very last people. And then right as we were like getting ready to be forced out, we just asked like, Mark, will you sign this? And he came over and like signed our shit. I bet people were pissed at us. But that thing was like 3 years in the making at that point,
yeah,
and
yeah,
and that's amazing that you got it
yeah. It's hanging in my
completed.
hallway in my
Ah, I'm
my
jealous of
house right
that one.
now.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's sick. All right, man. I'm gonna get into some rapid fire and then we're donezo. So
I'm not promising I'm answering these questions, but I'll do
none
my
of
best.
none of them are bad. Um, this is interesting. How do you feel about like the future of Blink? Like, what do you want from here moving forward?
I think they're on a good trajectory. What they're doing, like you and I haven't really talked about Nine and how we felt about Nine, dude. I love Nine more than I love California, and I love California a lot. So, I mean, Nine is incredible, and I think they gave Skiba some more creativity on Nine. Um, No Heart to Speak of is probably one of my favorite
It's
songs
so
off Nine.
good.
I love
So
Heaven
good.
too, don't get me wrong. But between Heaven and No Heart to Speak of, I mean, Skiba, just the raw vocals on that track, you
I
know, I,
know.
I'm looking forward to seeing what comes of it, seeing them grow more and more together.
Yeah.
I think from California to Nine was incredible. And you and I had a conversation with Nine. Some of the songs that came out were like, okay, yeah, they're pretty cool. And then the rest of the album came out, and we're like, whoa, like why
Yeah,
didn't they
dude.
release these for singles? Like
I know.
why did they choose the ones they chose? And I mean, literally the whole album is incredible.
Dude, like I feel
And
like I
and
say
it,
this every episode, but I still listen to Nine like pretty much every day.
yeah, yeah. I
I've
mean, I'm sure. Oh no, I don't know if you can see this or not.
oh, you got Takeoff on.
Takeoff's on there, but yeah, it's always on my what I'm
Dude,
listening to. But
I have such a hard time with like, and I feel like I could have a whole episode about this. Nine versus California to me is like such a tough decision. And I think it comes down to, I think if it's Nine versus OG Cali, like the first album, then I think Nine wins.
mhm.
But if I count Deluxe as all of the California songs, the first one and the bonus 10 songs or whatever, that gets really fucking hard. And I feel like Deluxe probably wins because it's more content, but that's a tough call for me, dude.
You know what? I bet if we go in and we say, okay, let's take 10 songs off the album, take 10 songs off of California versus 10 songs off of Nine, and we put them up against each other, I bet Nine wins.
Mm. All right, we'll have to save that for an
Yeah,
episode
we'll
because
do that offline.
that's tough, dude. I mean, honestly, like Nine, I mean, first time in heaven and
Yeah, man.
no
No
heart to
Heart to
speak
Speak Of,
of.
Black Rain.
Fucking pin the grenade. Ah, dude. I mean, it's
Yeah.
it's an amazing album. So yeah, I'm
Even,
with you, man.
I even enjoy On Some Emo Shit a lot. I love that song.
Yeah, a lot
So,
of people are really high on that one. Yeah, I'm with you. Like they've got a good thing going. Everybody's in a cool place. Like Tom's happy doing his thing. They're finally like, kind of cordial, it seems like. Um, you and I have these conversations and it's like, do you want Tom to come back at this point? Do you see how it goes? I don't know, man. What do you
I'm
think?
okay. I'm okay with Tom never coming back, but I would be okay if Tom came back as long as they didn't kick Skiba to the curb.
Yeah,
So
that's the
I
thing
don't
for me.
I don't want Tom to come back and never and lose out on California 9, all that amazing music they played.
Yeah.
And I think if Tom came back, they would probably never play that stuff again. So
Yeah.
I would love to see Tom come back and Skiba also stay in the band and just have a four-man group. Let them do their thing, and
Yeah.
let Skiba do his songs, let Tom do his songs, and I think you could do some pretty cool stuff with some guitars.
I feel like that would work out well because Skiba could play rhythm and Tom could do his lead. And,
Yep,
on the songs that Skiba's on, they could sing. But it'll be interesting. I mean, people have asked Mark that, and he said, like, that's a conversation that would need to be had with all parties involved. I mean, at this point, like, I'm so stoked for new Blink with Skiba, and they're writing right now. Travis just said that they're going to come out with a new album this year, so we're definitely getting one more album with Skiba. I think if Tom is dedicated and wants and to make Blink a priority, then yeah, I could see him
yep.
rejoining at some point.
I agree. I think they're to the point now. I mean, we even see it on social media, them commenting back and forth, and
Yeah,
their stuff together. That I think I think they're at a place now. If Tom said, you know what, I want to rejoin the band, I think it would happen.
yeah. And to me, like I'm with you. Like the big thing to me is what happens with Skiba because, dude, he put his career on hold with Alkaline Trio for years and didn't have to do that. So I would never want to see him just get tossed to the curb. But if for some reason he
Absolutely.
says, yo, I kind of want to go back to Trio, like, my bandmates there want to make some new stuff. I just can't dedicate the time. Or if he just decides to like gracefully step aside once Tom wants back in. But man, it's like Skiba has been such a pleasure in Blink, and there's so many rad
Mhm.
songs that I love that I want him to feel like he's Blink. And
Yeah,
I think he's such a nice and humble guy that I don't know if he ever will, but I hope he does.
yeah. I hope he
Um,
doesn't feel like the redheaded stepchild, because I
yeah,
sure as hell don't feel him that way.
no. Um, okay. Top three Blink songs all time.
Yep, this is one of those questions I'm not going to answer.
Uh, I think I
Top
know one.
three.
I know one
You
of
probably know.
yours.
You probably know two of mine. Two of
I
them are
think I know
easy.
two. I think I know two.
Two are
Um,
easy.
Not Now and Rock Show.
Yep, absolutely. Hands
Okay.
down, my top two.
Okay.
Um, dude, I who knows? I have no idea.
I know it's tough. I don't think I can pick three.
Currently, I mean, dude, I don't even know. I listen to No Heart to Speak of all the time. Still get goosebumps. So, my wife
Ah,
loves that song too,
really?
and she's not a gigantic Blink fan by any means, but
Yeah.
she loves that album, and she can listen to that song on repeat. Like, it's funny. Like, I got into her car a few times, and she's blasting Blink, and I'm like, dude, I love this. This is awesome,
Nice,
and she
nice.
loves that song.
I love Mark on New Year's Eve was streaming and he was playing like Blink songs. He was playing nine. I think he was going through nine.
He did
And
online songs too. That was
he
dope.
yeah, that was a rare treat. But he got to No Heart to Speak of. He was just like playing it in the background. And Mark was just like, listen to his voice. Like, listen to Matt Skiba's
Yeah,
voice on this fucking song. Like, he is
it's
absolutely
insane.
killing this song.
Absolutely insane.
Uh, I know. I would go nuts if we ever get to hear that live. It's such a
Oh,
it's gonna be such a hard song for Skiba to sing that I think he would destroy his voice.
uh-huh.
So I don't know if we'll ever get it, man, but it's fucking banger. All
Yeah.
right, I'll let you slide with two because I don't think I can pick three either. Um, this one, top three albums. This is tough.
God.
One,
Obviously,
one's
Take Off Your
Takeoff.
Pants and Jacket. No doubt.
Yep.
Absolutely my number one, and it's not close. Um, Number two, oh, it's so tough between Untitled and Nine for me. And
Mm,
that's crazy to say in a sentence.
yeah.
Um, it's so close between those two. We'll say 2A and 2B.
Okay. I can get down with that. Dude, honestly, like it goes through moods and like I think recency bias can play uh a part in this, but I mean people might unfollow me for saying this, but I think I like Nine better than Untitled, to be honest. Like,
Yeah, I'm right there with you, man. Like I said, it's tough.
I mean,
I've gone back and listened to Untitled, and it's just like, and I'm not talking about the, I Miss You and stuff like that, because that
yeah.
just got played to death. But some of those songs are just so incredible, so deep. Like, Feeling This to this day is just such an incredible song.
Oh yeah. Yeah. No,
But Violence and Down and
I
just
I think the problem with the
Stockholm Syndrome, like,
I
there's
know.
just such powerful songs.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, Untitled's amazing. All their albums are amazing. It's just to me, like Untitled, and I've said before, it's not my favorite. I mean, yeah, it's probably top five, but it's not for some people it's like absolute masterpiece,
Yeah.
everything
Yep.
to them. And yeah, while it's an incredibly important album and I think the one that they're all probably the most proud of, to me, I don't know. And it's just like some of the more like slower contemporary stuff like Always
Mhm.
and I Miss You and Down and stuff like that. It's like, dude, I'll take First Time and No Heart to Speak of and shit over those
Sure.
songs
Sure.
all day
Sure.
these days. So I don't know, it's tough. Um, okay, of all the stuff that, Blink stuff, we've traveled all over, we've done everything. What's your favorite like Blink memory, man?
Oh, Palladium. Show show 1,
That
no
first night?
doubt. It's gotta be. Just seeing them,
Yeah.
small venue like that, catching Barker show. I mean, for me, I mean, obviously the drumstick and meeting Barker and having him sign that drumstick at the end
Yeah.
of that concert is definitely just incredible for me. Obvi the one where we get to do the big VIP package and hang out, and, that was an unreal experience too. And, one thing we didn't talk about, there's a really, really bad picture of me
Oh,
out
that's what I
there.
meant to bring up. Yeah, that's where I was going when I was talking about like Travis walking in and signing our shit. So Travis comes in and we're like sitting on the couch, like with like backpacks, like just with our vinyl waiting to be signed and drum heads. And Travis comes in and he kneels down and he just like starts signing our shit. Well, the photographer snapped a picture of this. And so later on, we're like waiting for Blink to come on stage. And one of the dudes who was in the line with us, he was like, dude, did you see you guys on the Blink
Yeah, they're like, "Oh,
in
I recognize you. You were in the
Instagram?
picture." I'm like, "What are you talking
Yeah, we're
about?"
like, what are you talking about? And so he shows us, and I can't remember if it was Twitter or Instagram or both, but there's a picture of Travis signing our items. And I'm like looking down, like smiling, and then you have like the biggest like fangirl teddy bear, like awkward smile on your face, just like, yes. And you will
It was
never live that
oh,
down.
never.
It's
It
hilarious.
it is, yeah, and that's the best way to describe it. It's just straight. I just look like a straight fangirl.
Yeah,
And,
yeah.
I remember getting that picture and, sending it to my wife, and she's cracking up, and it's probably one of the worst pictures of me, but it represents 100% like
Uh,
the feeling of just sheer, like,
joy.
sheer joy. It was incredible. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's on my Instagram. If not, I need to like
Oh,
repost
great.
that
Yeah.
or
Yeah, I
something
don't think you need to.
because it's funny. Okay, I may have answered. I think I know your answer to this because it may have came from your previous one. But of all the Blink stuff you've gotten, like collectible wise, what's your favorite Blink collectible? That's actually
Hmm.
kind of tough.
It is tough. Part of me wants to say that picture signed by the whole band,
Ooh, see, I was
but part
debating
of me,
between two other things.
yeah, I mean, the drum head signed by the band is
That's where
incredible.
I was going. The drumhead or the fucking Travis played and signed. Ah,
Drumstick.
dude, that's tough.
I've actually caught a couple of Barker drumsticks, and we've gotten some other ones when we went to Vegas, just from the tech throwing them out after the concert. But we didn't talk about, like, I don't think there's ever been a concert where we've gone to where we haven't gotten guitar picks or drumsticks or something from each concert, set lists. You know, we're kind of spoiled, really. It's pretty incredible all the stuff that we leave these concerts with.
Well, we're such
But
fucking losers that we're like 30 plus years old digging through confetti for a guitar.
that's true. Telling the security guards, there's one right there. Give us that
Yeah,
one.
play
You
it.
know,
That's
but
funny.
yeah, my drum head's pretty insane, man. Just with Skew's signature the way it is, and Mark putting two Matt and this huge
Yeah,
autograph and putting Blink 182 2017 on
yeah.
it. I mean, it's just
I think you got to grab the drum head, to be
yeah. The
honest.
drum head's probably the coolest piece, but you know, probably the most memorable piece is still the Barker drumstick.
Yeah, cool. I'm with you there. All right, man. Well, that's pretty much that's all I had. I know as I've met like Blink friends online, like online friends or whatever, like a lot of people don't have friends to go to Blink shows with and they solo dolo it. So I want to thank you for our friendship, man. It
No,
means a lot to
absolutely,
me and it's always a pleasure looking
absolutely.
forward to Blink shows and knowing I got my right hand man just as stoked as I am to go across the fucking world to see the band we love. So I appreciate it, dude.
Yep, no doubt, man. It's been
All right,
awesome.
all
I
right,
look
man. Good
forward
cat.
to many concerts in the future.
Fuck yeah. Hopefully, like fall of this
Yeah,
year.
hopefully new future, not like this COVID shit. It's terrible.
Yeah, there may never be like meet and greets again. That's actually kind of sad. I don't want to think about that. Cool. All right, buddy. This was great. Had fun catching up with you. Ladies and gentlemen, that was my Blink friend in real life, Matt. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, I appreciate the time, man.